Captain. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Voice of Chicago Sports. This is the Barely There podcast. And, man, it's pretty lame in the football world right now. So we decided we'll rank some quarterbacks and maybe talk a little fantasy and not take up too much of your time. But thanks for joining us on Wednesday anyways. Let's get into it right after this.
Windy City banners rocking 4 stars aligned. Dynasty dreams rise, Bulls in their prime. Cubs curse shattered, the victory divine. Fields be running, clock ticking on my timeline. Shot-town heroes, legends never fade. Black Hawks flying, cutting ice with the blade. White Sox diamonds, the South Side parade. 4 stars shine bright, legacies they made. Mike with the crown, air rain, no dispute. Sweetness in the backfield, Walter in pursuit. Bear down Sunday's midfield, battles cute. Chicago.
Well, hello, guys.
I agree, Erica. Couldn't have said it better myself.
This series, Erica, is the dumbest series ever in the history of America. You know what? It's what I texted you the other day, Kyle. In every way, shape, or form, they're a more class organization. They're more prepared. They're better coached. They're better offensively. They're just better, and it's time for Cub fans to just admit it and stop pretending like it's not true. Because when we actually, for it to be a rivalry, you actually have to beat the other team, and we just can't beat them. So it's not really a rivalry. It's kind of like the Bears and the Packers for 30 fucking years. Now it's just the Brewers and the Cubs. And unfortunately, we don't get to see it twice a year. We got to watch it 13 times a year. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, but they do it to themselves too. I mean, dude, Cabrera just walked a guy hitting 202. Like they do it to themselves too, man. They put too much pressure on themselves. Like the guy's hitting 202, man. Straight pitch down the middle.
I can't be more frustrated than I am right now. What's going on? What's going on, Phil, man? Thanks for checking us out, man. Thanks for hanging out, Erica. Thanks for hanging out in the building. Jay, how we doing, man? My voice is a little rough. My allergies are kicking my butt again today for some reason or another.
Doing good, man. I had a good night of darts. We beat our buddies in darts, so that was good. And
yeah, you guys beat your arch rival.
Home. We're gonna get to talk some Bears football. I mean, it's always fun talking to you guys. Kyle, what about you, buddy?
Doing good, man. Beautiful day, nice and cool, man. Not too hot, not rainy like it has been my last few days off. Spent all day at the Parkland, so had a good day, man.
You know what, Kyle is right, Jay. We know how to beat our rival.
You guys beat him up pretty good, didn't you? Wasn't it like 10-5?
Yeah, it was 10-5, man. It was a good day. It was a good day. I didn't touch a dart in 3 weeks, so I was just happy that I was able to perform somewhat good. Jason picked us up at cricket, so that was fun, and hopefully we can win this summer league and get a trophy over to River Street. That would be fun too.
Just missed it last season.
What'd you say?
We just missed it last season.
We did by some percentage points. We're knocking on heaven's door. We're about to kick that bitch down.
Oh, do not. The Bears are bringing they're signing Ahmed, dude. No way.
Who they're signing?
That running back from the Colts, Salvin Ahmed. But I'd rather them sign one of these undrafted free agents than just keep that guy. This is another Travis Homer. That's what it is. It's another Travis Homer, another special team guy who's never contributed as running back. Ugh.
What was that kid? What was that kid's name? Kyle, I texted you the other day. There's 1-0 Brewers. Congratulations,
Evans.
I'll be right back, guys. Hang on.
No, the running back, the free agent running back for the Bears.
Isn't it Evans? His name?
No, you texted to me the other day. Why can't I think of this kid's name? Maroma Doomsday's friend.
Yeah, I swear it was Evans or Bennett.
Bennett, yes,
Bennett?
yes. Thank you. I actually really like that kid. I was watching some of his tape, man. He's shifty. He's fast. He hits the hole hard. He might have a place on this team. Not Slavin Ahmed, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I like. I liked him too, man. The only thing is the competition is like, dude. I was watching him. He looked really good. He's good with his cuts. He makes quick moves, quick adjustments. He's fast, but he's playing a bunch of dog shit.
Yeah. Let's see. Slavin Ahmed. Let's see what's this guy done in his career here. Now that he's on the Chicago Bears. He's averaged 3.6 yards per carry, 593 yards on 163 carries. He's played 38 games in 4 professional seasons. Ugh.
Tell me how do you score 3 runs on it? Whatever. I don't care. That was inside the park home run. So
Hey, Phil, good job, dude. Taking some steps. That's a big step, man. Good to hear you doing good.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. You're walking without the cane. That's nice, brother. That's nice. How long has it been since the surgery?
He says road to recovery is a pain in the ass. Yeah, but probably both figuratively and literally.
Yeah, right. I feel you, bro. I'm going on what 12. I'm gonna be on 12 weeks with this stupid boot on my foot. My body's like the slowest healing body in the world. I'm very happy that you're healing up quickly, Phil, because I'm kicking rocks over here, trying to get out of this damn boot. Trying to fit in a shoe. I can't wait. I gotta be on a boat this weekend with a boot on. Yay! Can't wait for that. That's gonna be interesting. But nonetheless.
Well, I hope you're feeling better, Phil. I hope that the pain is easing up on you a little bit, man.
Yeah, right. Well, Phil, we're gonna get a recovery wing together. We'll cover it with beer and shots of whiskey. Oh man, so boys, I guess since it's such a dead week, there's not a lot of news besides Slaven Ahmed being added to the Bears. We decided let's talk about some quarterbacks because it sounds like we finally got a top tier quarterback on the Chicago Bears, which we can finally rank in the top half. And maybe my rankings might be a little biased because he is a Bear, and maybe you don't agree with me, but that's cool. I'm fine with it. I'll put a little biased into it myself. So I'm gonna kick it off. I'm gonna show my rankings or what I thought personally, where I think these quarterbacks are. And then we can kind of get into what you got, where you guys are, and what you guys think, and chat, jump in. Let's talk some quarterbacks for a little bit here. If I can find them, that would be great. So I just kind of teared them up, and I just teared them up on how I think their talent level is and their ability to perform and elevate their team. I guess. And I know there's a few guys we're going to disagree on. I stopped at 23. I did rank them all the way. I did rank 32 quarterbacks, though, but I only did 23 here because I figure after these 23, they're really not worth talking about. But
my only problem, Sean, is your Patrick Mahomes is number 2.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback on the planet, man. I mean,
3 years ago.
I wouldn't say one down year with an injury with a bad team. I would be giving up on Pat Mahomes and not considering him a great quarterback in the league. I don't know.
Very good. I just wouldn't put him at 2 right now. He would be a tier 2 guy for me.
Where would you have him, Kyle?
I mean, I got him ranked number 1, but I'm doing based off of what they've done, what their
that's kind of what I
looks like, what my projection. I mean, he's won 3 Super Bowls. I mean, when somebody else on the list does that, I'll move him up. But right now, Mahomes is 1, and I think Mahomes this year, if that team stays healthy and Rashee Rice can stay out of trouble, I think they'll be in the Super Bowl conversation again, like they always are, except for last year. They're always in the conversation.
Yeah, if you look at, do you guys? And if we take the bias out, because I obviously didn't when I did this, but would you guys have Burrow, Jackson, and I don't know anybody else above Caleb Williams, or do you think I slotted him right there at 3? Where do you guys have Caleb Williams on your list to kick it off?
Well, I would put personally, so mine would be Patrick Mahomes 1, Josh Allen 2, Joe Burrow 3, and then I would probably go Matthew Stafford, Caleb Williams, Lamar Jackson for me personally.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not that far away, but the only thing really about Caleb Williams is he's had 2 decent years. I think he's going to have a really good year this year, and I think if he does, that makes him a top-tier quarterback for sure. Maybe even the best quarterback in the NFC, because you don't know how long Stafford's going to be around. You know what I mean? Next best is maybe Dak. Like who else in the NFC is really even close to him? I don't. Baker maybe.
No, I agree with you, man. My NFC, just the NFC, if you took the AFC quarterbacks out, my rankings were Matthew Stafford. I'll do the top 5. Matthew Stafford, Caleb Williams, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love.
That's quite fair. Maybe Baker in there, to be honest with you, but that's
and Baker and Jared Goff 6, Baker Mayfield 7. So we're not far off. Yeah. I mean, I don't dislike Sean's rankings, and it's also different criteria. Like I said, I'm judging them based off not only what they've done, their current situation, so the wide receivers, weapons around the coach, and then what I believe they're going to do, like in their careers. So, I mean, I could see Caleb Williams end up being the third best quarterback in the NFL. Like I'm not opposed to those rankings, and I think Joe Burrow, if he stayed healthy, would be a completely different conversation too. You just never know. You never know what you're going to get from Joe Burrow. That's the problem. He's absolutely phenomenal quarterback, and he should be in the conversation for tier 1 or maybe even best quarterback in the NFL. But we'll never know. We never know because
they put up good numbers. Why Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold at tier 7? I'm not saying you're wrong, but
because Brock Purdy, I know he got to a Super Bowl, but he's too up and down for me. He's just not a guy. Like, if I had to say, if I'm picking a quarterback and say I was going through tier 5, 6, and 7, these other quarterbacks I'd probably put ahead of him. I love what Tyler Shough did towards the end of the season. I love how they built this offense around him, and I think he's primed to take off. I love his head coach. I think his head coach is a solid quarterbacks coach, and it's going to do Shough a great job. I like how Cam Ward finished the season last year, solid as well.
I don't think that. Sorry, Sean. No. Antonio says Goff's in tier 5 and 6. I don't think that was Sean's mistake. I think he just asked AI to make him
I did
with his rankings, and I think AI they accidentally took Jared Goff in there twice on him.
Yeah, they stuck him in there on me. I had to work all day, so
I'm assuming, Sean, you meant for him to be in 5 and only 5.
5, yeah. I had him at 16 based on the fact that, we talked about it last Wednesday. When you add up his numbers and you look at the best quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, his numbers are identical. He's had the Lions there. He's a very efficient quarterback. He doesn't turn it over. I mean, we all seen he had these 4 or 5 interception games here and there. But overall, man, he's a pretty solid quarterback, man. Jared Goff gets the job done on most weeks. When he's protected, we'll see how that line holds up for him this year. When it comes to Sam Darnold, I know he won the Super Bowl last year, Jay. He had a good season with the Vikings, 2 seasons. He's a former, first round quarterback. I personally, I don't buy into Sam Darnold. He's proven me wrong. I could say that. I just don't buy stock in him, and he's not a quarterback I'm picking out of the heap and saying, yeah, I'm going to roll with Sam Darnold as my franchise quarterback. That's just me, and I don't think that he won the Super Bowl himself. He had some good games. That was predicated on defense and a solid run game. He did make
really good all-around team, honestly.
Yeah, I think he had the best. I think he had the best roster in football. And these people continue to say that Seattle Seahawks head coach is not good. I think you're insane.
Yeah, Mike McDonald's fucking solid, dude.
McDonald's a badass dude.
Yeah, and I wasn't gonna put Trevor Lawrence so high, but Trevor Lawrence now last year he kind of broke out. He had that great stretch to finish the season. It was his 4th 4,000-yard passing season. He has to get over that hump where he gets him into the playoffs as they start winning games. But I think he's on that trajectory. They finally got some, weapons around him, and he looks like he's poised to take another step, man. And Kyle, I know we're going to disagree on Jalen Hurts there, but when I look at a guy, he's never had a 4,000-yard passing season. But and you guys know I've always felt about Jalen Hurts. I never thought he was the greatest quarterback in the world. But the guy has had some big-time playoff games. He stepped up in the Super Bowl, helped his team, put his team on his back, and won a Super Bowl. Overall, I was trying to put him lower, but he's a Super Bowl, 2-time Super Bowl champion.
1-time champ, 2-time champion. I think what Trevor Lawrence needs is consistency. I think the coaching staff has changed too often there. The rosters had too much turnover there. I think if Trevor Lawrence had consistency with the coaching staff and with the weapons around him, he could create some continuity. I think Trevor Lawrence might even sneak up a little bit higher on this list, but you just don't know because you've never seen. He's had 3 coaches now. So 3 coaches he's had since he was drafted. So
they might have found their coach too, and if they have, watch out. He might be a fantasy sleeper. To be perfectly honest with you, because he's very capable of throwing over 4,000 yards. He's done it before.
Well, and I think wasn't he in the last 8 weeks of last season? Wasn't he fantasy quarterback like 1 or 2?
Yeah,
almost. But I think he was in that conversation.
And that's kind of why I put Tyler Shough up there, because if you look down his last 5 weeks of the season, he really found something there. And when it comes to fantasy, I believe he was a top 3 fantasy quarterback down the stretch the last 5 weeks of the season last year. This guy I like the weapons. I like what they did, and that's kind of another reason why I put what's his name in there. Why can't I think of it? Baker Mayfield, because I know Baker needs to elevate, but I love how he plays the game of football.
He's a baller.
Yeah, he puts it on his back, dude. Every day he wears his heart on his sleeve, injured or not. I love Baker Mayfield. I love his commercials, but I love him on the football field too, man. And he's got a lot of weapons around him as well. And I trusted him last year, and I couldn't foresee 3 offensive linemen getting hurt, his entire wide receiver unit getting hurt. And the guy still was able to win football games last year. I don't know. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan, dude.
Honestly, that's my only big knock on Carolina is that I think they won the division because Tampa Bay was so injured.
I agree.
Tampa Bay's a fully operational Death Star, Carolina doesn't have a chance of winning that division.
I agree 100%.
I think their offense is just too much for those division rivals, and I think the Panthers' defense is very good. But if like you said, Jason, if they're completely healthy, all systems go, I think that offense is one of the best in the NFL. I mean, Shaw, can you put those back up there? Some of these guys, it's just tough to like. That's the problem with ranking quarterbacks. Like for instance, I think CJ Stroud, if you saw him in his first year with a healthy offensive line, a good offensive line, he looked like a damn good quarterback. And since then, for some reason, the Texans general manager continues to rip that offensive line apart and never really could give him any studs in front of him. He's constantly under pressure, and it's just tough to judge exactly what CJ Stroud is. I think if CJ Stroud had a better offensive line, he'd probably be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, especially since
you want to know what, too, that mistake on here with Jared Goff was because I think I switched this list today like 15 times, and I probably just forgot to take him out of there. I like you said, it was so hard ranking these guys. Because I think the quarterbacks in this league are all really good, and I wanted to put CJ Stroud higher just for that exact reason, Kyle, because you see the talent and you see what he can do. And I think the Texans took some time this offseason to bolster that offensive line. And if they can stay healthy, I think you could be looking at a bounce back season for one CJ Stroud this year. I'm trying to find out exactly who they added. I know they bolstered. They signed Pro Bowl guard Wyatt Teller to right tackle, Brandon Smith and Evan Brown, and they drafted Kalen Rutledge. So and Fabricia Nuwani, I think that's how you say his name.
I think Ray is going to be a lot better this year than he was last year because he's definitely struggled last year. But the offensive line always takes a long time. Let me give you guys my NFC rankings, just the NFC, and the chat. You guys tell me what you think. And remember, this is based off of what they've done, what their current situation, and what I project them to do. So 1 is Matthew Stafford. 2, I have Caleb Williams. 3, Dak Prescott. 4, Jalen Hurts. 5, Love. 6, Goff. 7, Mayfield. 8, Purdy. 9, Jaden Daniels. 10, Sam Darnold. 11, Jackson Dart. 12, Kyler Murray. 13, Tyler Shough, just because he's so young and we haven't seen enough from him. I like Tyler Shough a lot, and I think he'll be moving up this list pretty quickly. 14, Bryce Young. 15, Michael Penix. 16, Jacoby Brissett.
I would just move Jackson Dart up. I'm a big fan of Jackson Dart. So to answer your question there, Michael, yeah, I like Jackson Dart. I like the way he plays football. I think they went and they're going to get Malik Neighbors back. They're going to have some weapons around Jackson Dart this year. He uses his legs. I think the Giants are a team on the come, and it's going to be predicated on the legs and the arm of one Jackson Dart. And I think he's going to be shooting up the boards for me as a top-tier quarterback in this league as he continues to grow. I said it when he was drafted. I thought he fell into the right situation with the Giants. He came out, he balled out, and I just think he's going to continue to grow. Now, he does have to play with a little bit more security about his head and his body, and hopefully he grows into that as he grows in the NFL and realizes he can't play backyard ball all the time. But, yeah, I'm a big fan of Jackson Dart.
I think he's a good kid, and I had him a little bit lower, but I think that is why, is because he's not playing smart football. He's got to understand. I think sometimes Justin Fields did that, and you see that a lot in a lot of young quarterbacks. I think they sometimes try to do too much, and instead of just working within the system and doing what they're told. And maybe Harbaugh's the guy that's going to make it better for him. They've got a lot of weapons on that team. They've drafted pretty good the last couple of years. So we'll see. If he can stay healthy, they can do some things. But, man, if I just don't know if I want to put the whole game on Jackson Start's shoulders right now. That's my biggest problem.
I do believe he'll be more disciplined because I think Harbaugh's a really good coach. And, they went from last year a team where if they lost Neighbors or Wan'Dale Robinson, they were kind of stuck, to a team that almost has like kind of an embarrassment of riches. I mean, I'm not saying like, Malik Neighbors, Darnell Mooney, Calvin Austin, Malachi Fields, Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton. I'm not saying any of these guys outside of Malik Neighbors are world beaters, but the good thing is with that much depth and you have 2 or 3 number 2s there. If somebody like Malik Neighbors did get hurt, maybe Malachi Fields could step, maybe Calvin Austin steps up, Darnell Mooney steps up. Darius Slayton, when he's healthy, has been good in the past. I like the addition of Isaiah Likely. Theo Johnson's a good tight end too. I think they have a good 1-2 tight end punch there. And then obviously the backfield got much better. So Jackson Dart is they certainly are taking the situation seriously. I mean, I think they're trying to make him as comfortable as they possibly can, eliminate excuses, and see if he's a franchise quarterback. And if he can build off of last year, if he can get better off what he did last year, I think Jackson Dart will move up that list in the NFC pretty quickly too. I like Dart, man. I like him a lot. Yeah. I like Dart a lot. It just sucks because once again, a tiny sample size. I mean, not only is he
for sure
here and he's trying to learn, and now he has to learn a whole new system again. But on top of that, he missed games due to injuries, so there's just not enough there to. But if you're talking about projections based purely off skill, yeah, Jackson Dart would probably make my top 10 in the NFC for sure.
And that's kind of what I did with Justin Herbert, putting him a little bit higher than some people would. He's struggled at times, but I really, really think what they've done there now with 2 tight ends in Gadsden and Njoku, I think Ladd McConkey, when it comes to fantasy, is going to have a breakout season. I know he was a little down last year, disappointed some people. I think he's going to turn that around. They drafted Brendan Thompson. Whether we'll see how that affects Trey Harris. I think it'll be a battle between the rook and the second-year man to earn playing time there. You got the backfield. You have a returning offensive line. That's why I didn't really hold things against him last year when you lose your tackles. What's the left tackle? I can't think of his name right now.
Alt?
Yes. You lose one of the best players in football.
And they lost both of them, and they lost Slaughter before the season began. I looked it up after the show on Monday. It was preseason, and I think Quentin Johnson surprised people last year. I think he's better than people think. I still think he has problems with drops, and I think he's probably always going to have problems with drops. But Quentin Johnson's a really good red zone threat, and you add Njoku. I mean, that Trey Harris, I think, is going to come into his own in year 2. Trey Harris is a guy I have my eye on in fantasy. I think that team is better than people give him credit for. You guys know that I picked them to make the AFC Championship, and it was our way too early predictions. But I have a strong feeling come a week before the season, I'm going to keep them right where I had them.
That running game's going to look a lot different with their new offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like Omarion Hampton, and if
their whole running back,
if J.K. Dobbins can stay, if J.K. Dobbins can stay healthy, he's no scrub, man. J.K. Dobbins probably doesn't get enough credit for how good he's done in the NFL.
He's in Denver.
It's not. Who was there last year? Najee Harris?
Yes.
No, it's they've Kamani Vidal.
No, well, Vidal was there, but Harris was there too last year. He got hurt.
Yeah. So who's their number 2 now?
I don't know. I think it's Vidal.
I could have sworn they added somebody because I remember thinking, man, I love Omarion Hampton fantasy, but then I thought they signed somebody, and I was like, well, that hurts Hampton's fantasy value a little bit.
Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah, they got.
Oh yeah, that speedster from the Ravens. Yeah, that's.
Kamani Vidal is number 2 on their depth chart right now. And you know what? Vidal was solid, man. I had him on my fantasy team. He put up some big weeks last year.
Yeah, and Keaton Mitchell is good for situational football, man. I think
he's a good roster stash. If you get a good matchup, you put him in there as like a flex.
Yeah. Or Omarion Hampton misses a couple weeks. I think Keaton Mitchell's kind of like a Tariq Cohen kind of guy where you don't want to give him 20 carries a game because I don't think his body can handle it. But he's when he gets an open space, man, he's dangerous.
And I'm not drawing a complete comparison, but when you look at speed, being able to catch out of the backfield, be shifty, reminds you a little bit of a guy the Bears drafted this year in the 4th round. So, Xavier Thomas. So, speed, you're gonna use them. You're gonna use them in special packages, sweeps. halfback tosses, get him out in the flat. That's exactly what you do with Keaton Mitchell. Try and get him in space, because if he's gone, you ain't catching him. And that's going to be the same thing I think they do with Savion Thomas.
Well, let me give you guys my AFC quarterback rankings, because this one's a little bit tougher. A lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. So let me I'll give them to you. You guys tell me what you think. I got Mahomes 1, Josh Allen 2, Joe Burrow 3, Lamar Jackson 4. And I think that's pretty much, if you look around, like if you asked AI right now to rank the AFC quarterbacks, I think they'd probably give you those top 4 right there. But 5, Justin Herbert, 6, Drake May, 7, Trevor Lawrence, 8, Bo Nix, 9, CJ Stroud, 10, Aaron Rodgers, 11, Cam Ward, 12, Daniel Jones, 13, Malik Willis, 14, Fernando Mendoza, obviously purely based off the fact that we have no idea what Mendoza is going to be. 15, Shadir Sanders, and 16, Geno Smith. And to be honest with you, 15 and 16 are interchangeable. I don't like Geno
I was
Smith.
just going to say, I put Shadir Sanders last.
I don't like either of them.
Or Deshaun Watson, is he going to even start? You never know.
Deshaun Watson, they're saying he looks really good, and it looks like Deshaun Watson's going to have the inside edge on that, especially with the contract that he has. I mean,
his
look,
body better be fresh. He hasn't played a snap in like 3 years.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I know there's a lot of people out there that like Shadir Sanders for his personality or whatever, but personality doesn't win championships. Me personally, I don't know if anybody else. My opinion, I was not very impressed with him on the football field. Last year
He had one good game.
Yeah, same stuff as in college. So for me, just they're better off seeing what Deshaun Watson has, and if he can bring back any of that form that he had when he was a top tier quarterback in this league. Send him to a massage parlor right before the game. Let's see what happens.
I would say the one that you guys both put down pretty far, which is not unjustified by any means, but it's somebody that we really can't just gloss over, and that's Daniel Jones. Before he got hurt, he was putting up MVP numbers.
Yeah, he was.
And I know they lost Michael Pittman to Pittsburgh, but they still got a lot of weapons over there. Really good running game, a really good tight end. Don't be surprised if he's fully healthy, if he comes out shooting again, and he's putting up big-time numbers.
And, it was tough for me to rank Daniel Jones, and just tough to put Cam Ward in front of him, because I think Cam Ward's probably a better prospect. But the only problem I have with Daniel Jones is the second the team started to hone in on LeBron, they were like, all right, let's stack 8 men in the box, or 12 men in the box, or whatever. They started to play those run-heavy defenses. That's when Daniel Jones really started to struggle. The second that Jonathan Taylor, and Jason, best of all, because Jonathan Taylor's on your fantasy team, but the second he stopped averaging 3 fucking touchdowns a game, Daniel Jones just didn't look like the same guy. And I'm not saying that Daniel Jones is like some terrible quarterback, but it's necessary. I just think it's the same conversation we had with Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. Even though they are really good system quarterbacks, I think that's exactly what they are. I think they're all system quarterbacks. I don't think they're the type of players where it's like, hey, you don't need a ton of talent on this team, because this guy's going to make everybody around him better, like Mahomes or Williams or Burrow or any other guys we talked about. They're just, to me, and there's nothing wrong with being a system quarterback, because if you talk about the 10 or 12 quarterbacks in the NFL right now that I think are capable of winning Super Bowls, there's certainly, I think 4 or 5 of them are probably considered system quarterbacks. You talk about Jared Goff, talk about Sam Darnold, who obviously just proved to you Jalen Hurts, I think, is more of a system quarterback than just a pure arm talent guy. But yeah, I think if everything doesn't go swimmingly for the Colts, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Daniel Jones had some major struggles there, man. He just watching him on the Giants, I just can't come to the conclusion that he's more like the Colts Daniel Jones than he is the Giants Daniel Jones.
Well, you want him to be more like Colts and not like the Giants, for sure.
Yeah, and I think everything would have to go perfect for him to finish the season like he started off last year. For him to do it for 17 games, I think everything in Indy would have to go pretty swimmingly.
Yeah, but he's pretty much the starter there. They got nobody else. I mean,
Trent Richardson was cut, wasn't he?
There was talk about it. I think he's on his rookie contract, so there's really no.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't benefit you to cut him in any way, shape, or form. But if I were the Colts, I wouldn't be blaming them for being like, hey, let's just get this guy the hell out of the building. Just get him out of the building. He's not good.
Yeah,
I thought he was.
Well, I know he's still dealing with some eye issue. I know he's been dealing with that for some time now. But yeah, I mean, and obviously,
that's why in the NFL, you shouldn't treat it like the NBA and buy on potential, because Anthony Richardson was never going to be a good quarterback in this league. It wasn't there.
No, his
they should have made him a tight end or something. They shouldn't have made him a quarterback.
I mean, you guys, we talk about how slow Justin Fields' progressions was. Dude, Richardson is the slowest quarterback I've ever seen play in the NFL. Going through
just reading stuff like what is going on. He's got an arm. He's got legs.
I mean, that season where he played almost a full season, I think he averaged like 13 completions a game. That's like one of the lowest I've ever seen in NFL history.
Yeah, when I think about it,
Pathetic.
I probably should have put Stafford up a little bit higher. I was kind of looking at maybe some younger quarterbacks maybe ascending, and Justin Herbert with having that new nucleus around him, and Drake May. I think Drake May, I've called him baby Josh Allen for a couple of years. I wish he would have played a little bit better down in the Super Bowl and against Denver. But again, I think his offensive line was his biggest deficiency, more so than his talent. And again, was there immense talent on the outside for him last year, outside of Diggs? And they used what Hunter Henry was their second leading receiver, I think, last year for the Patriots. So.
Yeah, I think AJ Brown, and if the rumors are true, I think AJ Brown and Drake May are going to be dangerous, man. AJ Brown moves up my fantasy rankings because again, he goes back to where he was the first year in Philly or last year in Tennessee. I just there was too much drama in Philly there for me to touch AJ Brown the last couple of seasons, but I think he's going to come back into that tier 1 for wide receivers in fantasy, man. Drake May's good. He's good, and he's really good at putting the ball exactly where he wants it to be, and that feeds right into A.J. Brown's strengths because I don't think A.J. Brown creates as much separation as people think he does. I think he's just a physical athlete who's good at jump balls, and he's just good.
Yeah, he's good, but they're
making
also
plays.
a pretty well-run team. I'm going to be interested to see how all this shenanigans affects them. It's not like he's going to get suspended or fired or whatever, but sometimes distractions could be the worst thing in the world. You just don't want distractions, especially when you're all trying to work towards the same goal. I think Drake May is great. I'm not as high on him. Maybe I'm a little bit biased too because he's coming out of the same class as Mr. Caleb. But
well, I mean, Jason, of the 16 AFC quarterbacks, where would you, just out of curiosity, where would you put Drake? I got him at 6. Where would you put him? Like probably 8,
probably
9,
right
10?
around there, 5, 6.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC though. That's really
and there's a damn good chance that Drake May ends up being better than Justin Herbert, and I have Herbert ranked right for him. I just based off of what Herbert had a 5,000-yard season, didn't he? Wasn't it his rookie season? 5,000 yards. It's just based off of what he's done in such a tiny sample size from Drake May. Even though Drake May's been awesome, and he had the highest completion percentage in the NFL last year, obviously was in the MVP conversation. I just need to see more. That's all. I just need to see more because we've seen plenty of times, guys, where quarterbacks have a good year and you're like, man, maybe this guy's legit. Maybe he's the real deal. And then it kind of all falls apart. And it wouldn't surprise me if it happened to any of these quarterbacks from that Caleb Williams class outside of Caleb Williams. But we know Caleb Williams so personally. We watch him every single Sunday, every single snap. I just don't see him failing in any way, shape, or form. But listen, obviously all these rankings could be
they're going to change. They could change
in the snap of if the Giants start off 4-1 and Jackson Dart's the leading passing leader for the NFC, then he was not going to be outside of the top 10 for me. You just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, well,
I think it helps New England, and it has for decades now, that they get to play the Jets in Miami twice a year.
Also
they have 4 wins no matter what by default.
Yeah, and they had the best record in the NFL, and I think that's a big reason why is because that division has just kind of always been. But although they did beat the Bills, so you can't.
And to both of your guys' points too, we didn't see up until the injury Daniel Jones being a top quarterback in the league last year, and that's exactly what he was until he suffered the injury. So you don't know, and again, my rankings are based on projections and what I think in my own brain. So I've been a fan of these kids. I like the Bears class. I liked Daniels, I liked May, and I like Caleb Williams, and collectively as a group, I think they're all going to be good. I think I have Jaden Daniels a little bit lower on my list.
I think Jaden Daniels is the hardest quarterback to rank of all the quarterbacks.
Yeah, you don't know if he's going to be good or if he's going to be bad. He's like a boomer bust guy.
He doesn't have any help around him. Who's his wide receivers? He has nothing.
You could make an argument to why you put him in the top 10, and you could make an argument as to why you put him in the bottom 10.
Yeah.
I'll say first and foremost, the 6'4", 200-pound frame scares the shit out of me because he's a runner, and sooner or later he's going to keep getting hit, and it's going to keep taking its toll. And it reminds me a lot of the RG3 situation.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I still had Jaden Daniels in my top 10 just based on what he did. I know last year was a little bit of a disappointment, and I do like his rookie class of wide receiver, which we'll get into here in a little bit when we talk about some fantasy stuff. But I just look and say, man, can he elevate the wide receivers around him? Because the wide receivers around him are not very good. I mean, they're just not. And
You guys remember some crazy shit? When I looked up their depth chart for the Commanders, they didn't even list Deebo Samuel, man. Wasn't even in there. Like
Debo's a free agent. That's
yeah,
why.
like
We
remember
knew
we
going
had
into it though that he wasn't that great. That's why
yeah,
San
remember we
Fran
had this
let him walk.
conversation a couple weeks ago. Remember it was like maybe a month ago. I was like, I thought Deebo Samuel was no longer in the Commanders, and then somebody looked it up and it said he was. Like I didn't think he was, but last time we talked about Deebo Samuel about a month ago, somebody said he was still there. I don't know what's going on with Deebo. If he's an unrestricted free agent, I don't know what's going on with him.
Oh, we just lost another starting pitcher, guys. So
Deebo sucks. Deebo sucks, man.
oh,
The problem with the Commanders is you drafted this young quarterback, Jane Daniels, who I think has a ton of talent. I think he can be very good, especially if you can, like Jason talked about earlier with Jackson Dart, make him more disciplined. Hey, man, you can't put yourself in harm's way. You're just not built like that. And then you put a bunch of old guys around him. Like, what are you doing? Like, you want this kid to be the future of your franchise. You want this kid to be a generational type quarterback, and you're signing guys who are 35 years old all around him. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like it's usually,
and then like you can't stop the run, and you don't improve the run defense. You do like last year was just a debacle of
stupidity.
It was bad. It was really bad. But you know what? We said that because we said his first year went so well. There was no mistakes. It was all great, all roses, and he faced zero adversity. So last year he gets the injury. The team's not doing great. You know, we'll see what happens. Can he bounce back from that? You know what I mean? Is this something? This is a true test for him. Can he bounce back? Because if you ask me, Caleb bounces back from anything. Everything just rolls off his back like water off a duck's ass. He does not care. He wants challenge. He like lives for it.
Well, and I'm not a huge fan of Dan Quinn. And I said that when he got hired, and a lot of people laughed at me because obviously they had found a lot of success when they paired Dan Quinn with Jane Daniels their year one. But everywhere you look at everywhere Dan Quinn's gone, he's always kind of found success year one, and then it's kind of just fallen off a cliff after that. And that seems to be what's happening in Washington there, man.
They just lost their offensive coordinator too, right? What's his nuts? Didn't he move?
Kingsbury, yeah. Is he still there?
Leave Washington?
I think so.
I think you're right, Jason. I think he did.
Huh. I think you are right. Now that you're saying that, it's starting to come back to my brain.
Yeah,
he's the assistant coach of the Rams.
Yeah, no, he's in the Rams. Yeah.
I've been so in tune trying to watch the Cubs and shit, and now that the Cubs season's over, I can get back into wrapping my head completely around football.
Well, you better start looking at fantasy, man, because the draft's like what, 2 months?
Oh, I got some fantasy shit for you. Don't you worry about that. You guys want to turn the page?
Well, I can go over my rankings here.
Steve, you're like one of those.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Steve's like one of those fake news accounts. Every time he posts something, I look it up and I'm like, yeah, that's not a thing.
Was it?
All right, so I did my rankings more like you see them on, on social media. I just put them into big tiers, and really, I don't know how any of these guys are going to go. I was looking at all the stats, and honestly, the first like 5 guys are up there, and then everybody else is separated by like 200-300 yards and like 2 or 3 touchdowns. So it's really kind of a bunched up group. I think this is probably one of the better quarterback groups in recent history, if you're looking at it league wide. But I have my tier 1 is Super Bowl bound. I honestly think Josh Allen on the Bills and then Matthew Stafford and the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. You really got the last 2 years, the last 2 MVPs there. I think it's a pretty good, solid 1-2 right there. And then the tier 2, I think these guys all have a chance to make the Super Bowl, of course, but they're all going to be in the playoffs for sure. And it's going to be because of them. And that would be Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. I know they're all AFC guys, but in the NFC, there aren't that many good quarterbacks, and those teams are probably just going to, win their division. So I also had, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I also had Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, and Baker Mayfield all in that same category. So if you're looking at it, AFC, the NFC, again, in I think the top, 4 out of the top 6 teams are going to be Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and then the NFC, Caleb, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, and Baker Mayfield. And then I got a tier 3, which is good but not great. I got Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Jordan Love, Sam Darnold, Drake May, and Trevor Lawrence. Now, we just talked about Trevor Lawrence earlier. Trevor Lawrence could have a skyrocket year, and he could be, way up there in numbers. He might be a little bit of a sleeper quarterback, if you ask me. Drake May's really good, but again, there's just something I don't like about Drake May, and I can't really put it into words. And then tier 4 is my meh tier, my average tier. You're really not going to get anything out of him, but if you got to draft him, you can. Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, and Brock Purdy. And then tier 5, I got to break glass only in case of an emergency. These are the guys you might want to pick up when everybody else is hurt and everybody else is taken. I got a sneaking suspicion Malik Willis might be better than we all think he is going to be. Tyler Shough, we talked about him ad nauseum. That guy is on up and coming, so keep an eye on him. Kirk Cousins, we always forget about Kirk Cousins. Even when he was a starter for Minnesota, he was like the last quarterback always drafted, and the guy was always like a top 5 in stats. So I think they got some weapons over there. If he actually seems to do well in Las Vegas, Kirk Cousins could be a nice little pickup for you late in the draft too. Jalen Hurts, they win sometimes because of them, sometimes not because of them. I think the defense is probably their best asset on that team. They're losing A.J. Brown too, so that's a big hurt. Jackson Dart got in there, and then Kyler Murray too, only because of their potential, right? You got some guys here that might be able to score you points. And honestly, I think all of these guys are probably better second half of the year guys than first half of the year guys. And then in tier 6, I got just hot garbage. I'm not drafting them. I'm not touching them. I'm not looking at them. If anybody wants them, they can take them. That would be C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Jacoby Brissett, Cam Ward, Geno Smith, Tua, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy probably won't even start. The 2 Cleveland quarterbacks because nobody wants them, and Sanders and Watson. And then, that's pretty much it. I wanted to put Kyler Murray down there, but I think Kyler Murray, like I said, he's one of those guys, Sean. I know you're high on him. He's either going to suck or he might be really, really good. So you never know.
Which one was that, sorry?
Kyler Murray.
Oh, Kyler Murray. My boy, Kyler Murray. Where did I have him? I don't even remember where I had him ranked. 17,
What's up, Paul?
17? Where did I have Kyler Murray? 17, yeah. 17. I honestly think if Kyler Murray stays healthy, I think he's going to have a humongous year with all those weapons in Minnesota. There's just too many weapons.
Because he's just not guaranteed to be the starter. You know what I mean?
He's guaranteed to be the starter. They ain't starting J.J. McCarthy. There's zero chance they're starting J.J. McCarthy because J.J. McCarthy sucks.
He does.
Let's be honest. That guy sucks.
He does.
He does. He's hot garbage. That's why he's on there.
He's not good. He's not good. What's funny is the rest of the world knew that. Somehow the Vikings couldn't figure it out, but everybody else knew that J.J. McCarthy was going to.
He was the last quarterback taken in that first round or whatever, wasn't he?
I think Bo Nix went after him, didn't he? Wasn't McCarthy 12 and Bo Nix like 15 or some shit like that?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like Bo Nix, we talked about him a little bit, and I kind of looked into him, man, and I mean he really does protect the football, and he really does throw a nice deep ball with accuracy. I wanted to put him a little bit higher, but there's just something about him that says he might have hit his ceiling and he is who he is, and that's where he is. But I know a couple people like Brandon think that, he's going to elevate the Broncos to the AFC Championship game. He could very well. And you know what? We're going to find out a lot about Bo Nix. We went over that Broncos schedule on Monday, and it's a murderer's row for the first 9 weeks. So we're going to find out exactly what Bo Nix is and if he can be a quarterback against top-tier schedule as the season kicks off. So it'll be very interesting. Very, very interesting.
This is always an interesting time of the year because, it seems like every year there's a worst to first team. And I don't know if we can pinpoint who that's going to be this year. Is it New Orleans? Is it, Atlanta? Is it, somebody in the AFC? You never know, but it's such a league of parity that you never know who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. You just don't. You kind of do, but you really don't 100% know. Not right now anyways.
Yeah. For me, Kyle and I kind of talked about this, and I don't know if he agrees with me or not, but I think that worst to first just might be the Giants. Not only because they're getting Malik Neighbors back. That defense, if that defense shows up and shows out, I mean, there's stars all over it. That defensive front seven is deadly.
They got a better coach now, too.
They do. Harbaugh's there. And when I look at them, and I look at the Texans, and I say, man, everyone questions about Dart, questions about C.J. Stroud. But man, they got weapons around them. Texans rebuilt the offensive line. The Giants were there. They need Jackson Dart to stay healthy. I think the Giants can go worst to first, and I don't know if I'm going to stick with the Texans to go to the AFC Championship game. But again, like I said on Monday, man, you have to be able to score to win games. Just ask the Chicago Cubs. It's going to be hard to score on the Houston Texans. It's definitely going to be hard to run the football on the Houston Texans. That's for damn sure. And I wouldn't put it past it to say, I picked him last year, and I'm going to double down this year and say Will Anderson is the defensive player of the year. That guy is unbelievable, man. And he is a guy who takes over football games.
I'm happy the Bears don't have to see Houston at all this year.
Oh, God.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, if we did. And yeah, I mean, I remember you, Kyle. I don't know if you remember this, Jay. Kyle, we were together, I think. I was begging the Bears to trade up for Will Anderson. I wanted Will Anderson so bad on the Bears. Like, that guy just changes the complexion of your defense. And not only that, they just have so many other weapons. Stingley's a stud. I mean, that defense is just locked and loaded. And then they went and took a luxury and took Caden McDonald, the best run stuffer in the draft, to a defense that you already had problems running on. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, wow.
That's probably the best defensive line in football. No joke.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be – I'm going to go on a limb and say it's going to be the Texans or the Giants with the best defensive line in football. So,
yeah, they're going to win with their defense, and they'll put up 15 to 20 points, nothing flashy or crazy, but they're going to hold everybody to like 6 points. I mean, it's going to be brutal. And that honestly might be the one thing that keeps Daniel Jones out of getting good stats, because he might die, if he gets tackled again. Breaks that leg again.
Where did you have Herbert on that list?
Justin Herbert I had as a tier 2 guy. Reason their team makes the playoffs, because I'm with you guys. I think their team is going to be much improved. Not that they're a worst to first team, because I think everybody thinks all the talent is there, right? But I think the way the offense is going to open up, it's going to be explosive. They're going to put points on the board for sure.
And Dante, you are right. Nagy being with the Giants is the one thing that does scare me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it really does.
Is he gonna call plays though?
He's the OC. I mean, he's gonna have some input. That's gonna be scary. That's the scariest part. And I honestly thought for Harbaugh, for as much respect as I have for Harbaugh, thought that was a very questionable hire. I really did. I really did. So
yeah, because he wasn't calling plays the last 2 years. I know he's got like 3 or 4 Super Bowls, whatever it is, with Kansas City, but it's not because of Nagy. I mean, we saw it here. Nagy's not the reason Kansas City was winning games. Period.
No. So Sean, give me your top 5 fantasy quarterbacks 1 through 5.
Oh God. Well, it's probably going to be Josh Allen. Off the top of my head, I didn't even rank him, but it'd probably be Josh Allen. Obviously, you have to go Lamar Jackson because of the rushing upside. I like where Caleb is. I don't know if I'm ready to put him in the top 5, but I mean,
I would go Joe Burrow before Lamar. If Joe Burrow could stay healthy.
I wasn't listening in order, but Joe Burrow would definitely be on my list.
Oh, Joe Burrow could put up a 50 touchdown season, no problem. All passing.
0 rushing.
As can Matthew Stafford.
I actually, I know this is crazy, man, but I see a guy like a surprise guy like Justin Herbert maybe creeping into the top 5 with a healthy offensive line and all the weapons that they have around him now. He could be a guy that sneaks into the top 5 for sure. But Jared Goff, I mean, I don't know if I can put Jared Goff in the top 5.
Jared Goff he's like cheap jewelry, right? He's not flashy at all, but he gets the job
the numbers. Yeah.
He's not like, if you look at him, it's like I don't think he's ever had like a not top 10 year, maybe his rookie year or whatever, but he's always up there, dude.
Yeah, if I had to go 1 through 5, I think I'd go personally with Derrick Henry there. I think Lamar Jackson has lost some of that rushing ability there. I just don't think he's rushing the ball as much as he was before, and I don't think he's going to until Derrick Henry leaves. I think I'd go Josh Allen number 1, and I don't think it's even close. I think number 2 would probably be Joe Burrow, because like you said, that guy's, I think he's gonna have multiple 4 touchdown games this year. If he can stay healthy.
55,000.
If they could protect him, yeah.
Well, he might have the best wide receiver room in the league.
I'd go Matthew Stafford. I know that's a leap But based off what he did last year, man, Matthew Stafford was by far one of the best
You don't
quarterbacks
see him
in
getting
both the
worse.
NFL and in fantasy. Yeah, and you still got Devontae Adams, you still got Puka Nacua, you still got all those weapons. I think that tight end room is going to be better this year than they were last year. I think then I'd probably slip Lamar Jackson in there because if all things do go right, if he gets back to where he was a couple of years ago, I would just based off the potential there, I would probably put Lamar Jackson for it. And then, yeah, I'd probably go. To me, it would be between Caleb Williams, Justin Herbert, and Patrick Mahomes. I think any one of those guys could fill the 5 slot.
So if I'm going to rank them 1 through 5, I'm going to go Josh Allen. I would probably then go Matthew Stafford because of the weapons. This might throw you off, but Dak Prescott would probably be in there for me because the dude is loaded and he has when he's healthy, every year he's healthy.
Before, yeah.
Yeah, every year he's healthy, he's thrown for over 4,000 yards. I mean, the guy gets it done. And this one's going to sound a little weird, maybe, but I might throw Drake May in there. Drake May has that passing upside. He has that rushing upside to get you those touchdowns. I'm going to look at the top quarterbacks from last year in fantasy based on our big league. Hold on. Let me see.
Well, you got to remember that.
By the way, is it him and Caleb are the only 2 guys in that class that haven't been hurt yet? I don't think either one of them has been injured yet.
I would definitely have Joe Burrow in there. I would have Joe Burrow in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah, but Drake May didn't start till like week 6 is rookie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So last year, let's see. I got this up. Is this 2025? Yeah, 2025. Last year, Stafford was 1, Josh Allen was 2, Drake May was actually 3, Trevor Lawrence was 4, Dak Prescott was 5, Caleb Williams was 6, Jared Goff 7, Jalen Hurts 8, Bo Nix 9, Herbert 10, and for the bad season that everyone said Mahomes had, he finishes at number 11.
And missed
the last couple of weeks.
2.5 games.
Yeah, and I'll throw one out there. For everything that he went through, missing linemen, missing wide receivers, Baker Mayfield still finishes the 12th best overall quarterback in fantasy last year. That's pretty fucking impressive.
I mean, Justin Herbert was when they were healthy, his first couple of weeks, he had like 9 touchdowns. Or whatever. Yeah. He looked like he was on pace to be the best fantasy quarterback in the world. But once you lose your 2 tackles and the rest of your offensive line sucks to begin with, you're in big trouble. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all pretty close. I mean, I think anybody, if you projected Joe Burrow would be healthy all season, I don't know how you can't have him in the top 3 because with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and I don't know how to even say they got other third-string receivers, Mike Gesicki, Chase Brown can catch the ball. I think he's capable, like you guys said earlier, of scoring 50 touchdowns and 5,000. You're passing for 5,000 yards, and I think
he's literally the only reason why they win games.
If he does that, he's probably QB1 or very close behind Josh Allen. Really close behind Josh
Allen. It was only a right middle finger blister for one Edward Cabrera. But yeah, and you know what? And if
all right, Dante. This, all right.
If we remember this correctly, Daniel Jones was top 5 last year until he got hurt.
He was in MVP talks.
Yeah. Like you just don't know.
He was leading the MVP conversation.
Yeah. Yes.
You just don't know from year to year because I'll tell you this, dude, based on our league, Matthew Stafford went undrafted. And then he wound up being the number 1 freaking quarterback, dude.
Yeah, I picked him up.
Yeah. So like you just don't know what's going to happen. It's so hard to rank these quarterbacks because you don't know
remember, Sean, beginning
might not be number 1 overall, dude.
Sean, before the season started, Stafford was having those back issues. Remember, he pretty much didn't practice at all in mini camps or anything like that. And I think that's why he went undrafted because people were like, I don't know, is he going to start? I don't want to draft a guy that's not going to play. And then by mid-season, he was back and doing whatever he wanted to do.
My target, because I'm not going to spend a 2nd-round pick on a quarterback this year, and I think that's where Josh Allen's probably going to go, where he normally goes. My fantasy target was 100% going to be Joe Burrow if he can slip into the 4th or 5th round. That would be if that guy has the season. Like last year, he was hurt, but the season prior, well, I don't know, man, because a lot of people think it's an injury risk, right? In the last 5 seasons, he's been hurt for 3 of them. But if he stays
draft him, you just got to draft another quarterback late. But there's always one available too. Quarterbacks are great.
I was going to say I wouldn't even do that. I would just at that point, I never draft a backup quarterback because at that point, everybody who's left in free agency, they're all pretty much equal. You just you can play by matchup. You can play by matchup. Who's playing the shittiest pass defense this week? That's what I'll pick up. Like Tyler Shough's not going to get drafted. He's not going to get drafted.
No.
He'll be
Probably
there
not.
free agent.
He
He'll be
should.
as their free agent. I mean, yeah, after the weapons they added in the offseason.
I'll tell you, from what I've heard on this network, I don't think Kyler Murray's going to get drafted, but I'll scoop up that boy with all those weapons around him. I'll be honest with you.
I mean,
give me the former Dachshund of the Desert, dude. The
I
true
mean-
dual quarterback threat who was big time top 10 fantasy potential with Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson. You got KOC playing those calls. You got TJ Hawkinson looking to get back into prime form. People think Hawkinson's old, dude. He just turned 28. He's still in his prime, and he's a good playmaker. And I'll tell you, Trey McBride played 39 games, had 200 receptions, 2,012 yards, and 7 touchdowns caught from Kyler Murray. We know that McBride went one whole season without catching touchdowns, but that's Drew Petzing more so than anything else, in my opinion, running the ball away from him. I won't be scared to have Kyler Murray
of a top 10 quarterback.
What's that?
How often do you see a team let a top 10 quarterback go?
Well, I told you guys last week,
good
and
reason.
it's proven when he's been healthy, he's been a top 10 quarterback every year of his career.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sure Arizona thought that of him for a while, but they got tired of him for some reason, right?
Injuries.
All I know is there's going to be some crow eating on this show when Kyler Murray is tearing it up in Minnesota this year. And we're going to tell you guys right now.
I hope he's your starting quarterback in
I
fantasy.
hope he doesn't. He's in the Bears division. I hope he breaks his leg.
Hey, two years ago in Nerd League, Jay, I had him as my starting quarterback. Not only did I have the best record, score the most points, I did lose in the game to go to the Super Bowl, but the dude won me a lot of money. And all he did was rush, throw, and finish as the number 8 overall quarterback in fantasy.
You can't play your roster
no
from 2 years ago
problem
this year.
Kyler Murray.
You can't play that roster this year, so I don't.
No, I'll take Kyler Murray with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Juwan Jennings. I have no problem doing that. Not at all. KOC, not at all. If it happens to fall that way, obviously I'll be looking for a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen or a top 5 quarterback in the world, more so than a guy like Kyler Murray. But if I'm going to draft my roster and I'm going to put together solid running backs, solid wide receivers, a good tight end, and Kyler Murray's on the board, I'd be more than happy to pick him up and start him and plug him in as my quarterback. Because when you actually look at quarterback lists, when you look from 1 to 15, you're talking about a difference of 2 to 3 points a week. You make that up by having better running backs and better wide receivers. I got no problem starting Kyler Murray, dude. I don't think anybody else should either, personally.
Well, I mean, fantasy is different than the NFL. I wouldn't have a problem with Kyler Murray up in fantasy. But I don't think I just don't think Minnesota is going to win. Like, they won 13 games with Kirk Cousins, and I think they went back-to-back with Sam Darnold in 13. I don't think Kyler Murray and the Vikings are winning 13 games. That's just me personally.
I don't think
he's not a guy that puts in the work either. I think that was another big concern that Arizona had with him. He doesn't put in the off-season work.
If I was a Vikings fan right now, I'd be devastated that we drafted a quarterback in the first round 2 years ago, and now we're deciding that the guy Kyler Murray, who's dealt with career-altering injuries since he's been drafted in the NFL, is now your best available option. And you had Sam Darnold in the building, who just left and won a Super Bowl the very next year. I would be absolutely furious if I was a Vikings fan. Furious.
You were winning with Kirk Cousins. You got rid of him. You were winning with Sam Darnold. You got rid of him. And then you put your rookie who can't win a game. Well,
Kirk Cousins one's a little more understandable because a torn Achilles can be devastating, especially for somebody
for an old man.
But Sam Darnold, what more could he have done to say, "Hey, I think I've proven to you guys that I'm."
He won like 14 games or something like that, didn't they? Like he was tearing it up.
And then they lost to a damn good Rams team. It wasn't like the year with Kirk Cousins when they lost to the Giants, who had no business being in the playoffs. The one with Sam Darnold, they lost to that Rams team. And if you guys remember or not, that Rams team was like playing inspired because they hadn't played in their home stadium all year because the wildfires, and they were just. It was a story all across ESPN, all across the NFL for 2 or 3 weeks going into the playoffs. And when they got in the playoffs, they were like, the Rams have something to play for. They have something to fight for. They're fighting for the city of Los Angeles. Like, it was just a bad game for the Vikings to pull. And And
You know what though? If you go through Vikings history, bad games for them usually happen in the playoffs. Well, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean they've never won a
Yeah.
They've never won a Super Bowl, so obviously they're not doing very well when they get to playoffs. But yeah, I don't know. I don't. We've had this conversation before, and I want to get into it again. I don't hate Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is probably better than most people think, better than most people give him credit for, but also not as good as some people who. And I'm not saying you, Sean, but there are people who believe that Kyler Murray's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. If I ranked them 1 through 32, which we kind of did today, he would be in the teens.
Or maybe middle of the road. You know,
I had him at 17. I mean,
16,
I had him right in the middle of the league.
Yeah.
You know, if we're talking about fantasy or real life, when we're talking about fantasy, I got no problems putting Kyler Murray on my team. If we were going into 2026 and Kyler Murray was my starting quarterback of my team, I would be worried about A, health, and B, turnovers, because not interceptions but fumbles, because he doesn't throw a ton of interceptions, but he does have a problem holding onto the ball with his small hands.
Well, because he doesn't tuck the ball in and run. He like keeps it outside.
He holds it all, yeah.
Yeah, that would be the picture on his gravestone. Like he carries that ball, he holds that ball out like he doesn't get. I don't know. I agree with you, Sean. Like for fantasy purposes, just because the weapons around him. If you're talking about Minnesota, I think Justin Jefferson's gonna have a massive year.
I think he's gonna have a monster year.
I don't think Justin Jefferson needs a top 10 quarterback to be the best.
I don't either. Although last year it looked like he needed a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah, but he still finished with 1,000 yards. He still finished with over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he did.
The shittiest with JJ McCarthy and what was the other guy's name?
Did they have Josh Dobbs last year?
No,
or was that the year before.
They had Max Brosmer.
Oh yeah, Max Brosmer. That's who it was.
That guy stinks too. And he still somehow finished with 1,000 yards. I certainly think Kyler Murray's better than both of those guys, and I think that Justin Jefferson should move back into that top 6, 7 picks of fantasy. But I think Kyler Murray could have a decent fantasy season because he runs the ball. But yeah, in terms of being a Vikings fan and like our aspirations to win a Super Bowl, I'm not there. I'm not there by any means necessary.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I do like the Vikings team as a whole. I don't know. There's something like we talked about. There's something funky in Detroit. I thought Green Bay was mid last year, and I don't know that they did enough to improve. And I think they'll be mid this year. Maybe the Bears just walk with the division. Maybe they just walk with the division. Maybe the division isn't as good as we think. That could very well be. There's a lot of talent in Detroit, but as we stated, man, people are fucking exiting stage left and right. So I don't know. And there's just something about Green Bay. I know everyone plans on Micah Parsons coming back and saving the season. And it's like, guys, Micah Parsons doesn't throw the ball. He doesn't run the ball. He's on the defensive side of the ball. He can get the ball back to the offense. I don't know. They still don't have wide receivers. Matthew Golden, I think, at 750, 800 receiving yards. Jaden Reed, maybe the same. I mean, they don't have a true number one. Maybe Tucker Kraft is their true number one. He's supposed to be ready for the start of the season. I don't know. I'm just not very impressed with Green Bay, man. I think their secondary absolutely sucks, too. I really do.
The wide receivers aren't that great. I mean, they got a pretty damn good running back and decent quarterback, right? I don't think anybody's too worried about those two guys, but the rest of their team is just not stellar. You got a new defensive coordinator, and I love Micah Parsons, but guys coming off an injury, they can have a good year the next year, but it usually there's like a wind up time, right? You don't know if people are going to be chop blocking that knee. You don't know if there's going to be double teaming. I guarantee somebody's going to chop block that knee at least once or twice to try to get it on there. But you don't know.
Hopefully it's a bear.
He may not be fully 100% until week 7 or 8. You know what I mean? It's possible. Now, I'm not saying he might still have like 6 sacks in that time frame, but opposed to like the 10 that he might have if he was healthy, it's a big difference.
What I found funny too was the schedule makers anticipated him starting the season on the pump and coming off in week 5, the exact week that the Bears and Green Bay play up in Lambeau. I was like, oh, isn't that poetic? If he comes off the pup in week 5, his debut will be against the Chicago Bears. And again, I'm with you, Jay. I don't think he's going to be like, here, let me play 50 snaps,
He's too expensive to rush back.
Like, maybe sparingly play him on third down, rushing situations and stuff to start the season, until he gets up, like you said, week 7, week 8, give him 2-3 weeks to get reacclimated to the league. Unless for some reason he starts week 1, then all bets are off. But everything I was reading says Micah Parsons is going to start the season on PUP. But
there's a lot of fantasy.
Sean, do you have their schedule? Do you still have that saved in there?
I actually erased them today.
There's a lot of fantasy value in the NFC North, man. A lot. I mean, you're talking about the NFC North probably has 3 top 5 tight ends. Fantasy, or top 6, top 7. I mean, you're talking
maybe
about
all 4. Do LaPorta, Hockenson, Kraft, and Loveland, all 4.
Yeah, they could all. They're certainly all the top 10. Yeah. They have 5 or 6 top 10 receivers, or 4 or 5 top 10 receivers. When you talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, I personally believe, guys, that Luther Burton's going to enter that conversation. I think that there's a chance. I mean, it's Matthew Golden's tough to judge, man, because I think Matthew Golden's good. I just don't know if the Packers know how to use him. That's the problem.
One touchdown a year is not great. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you watch the college tape, you watch how often he was open last year. I mean, where would you guys put Christian Watson in fantasy if he stayed healthy all season? 17 games.
I'm not drafting him because he's a Packer and I don't like him.
Probably
top
25. Top 25.
Top 15. If he was healthy all season, I think you're talking about top 15 receiver.
Yeah, he's probably on the cusp of that, like number 3, number 2 wide receiver, right in there.
Yeah, I guess. His biggest games are always against the Bears.
But you got Jahmyr Gibbs. He's fantasy relevant. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good talent in the NFC North, man. I don't think anybody in this division is just going to fall off the face of the planet. Like, I wish the Bears would run away the division, but I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't see it happening.
So last year, Christian Watson's biggest games were against Detroit and Chicago and Baltimore. That's it. He had 3 good games. And played from week 8 to week 19 through the playoffs. In that time, he had 1 100-yard receiving game. That's it.
Well, give me the yards and touchdowns for you said he missed 8 weeks?
No, he missed the first 7 weeks this season. He debuted in week 8. His debut, he had 4 for 85. Carolina week 9, 2 for 58. Philly 2 for 45. The Giants 4 for 46. He did have 2 receiving touchdowns. Minnesota 5 for 49. Detroit 4 for 80 and a touchdown. That was one of his bigger games. Of course, he torched the Bears 4 for 89 and 2 touchdowns. Denver 3 for 29 against Chicago.
Those are not number 1 wide receiver numbers.
No, it's not number 1, but those that you're talking about fantasy value there. I mean, how many touchdowns did he have in 10 weeks?
2, 4, 6.
6 touchdowns in 10 weeks is definitely. I mean, he definitely holds fantasy value.
I mean, if you look at it, so double-digit fantasy in that time, he only had 4 double-digit fantasy weeks too. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not putting him in my. I'm keeping him in my top 25, but I'm probably having him 24, 25.
Well, remember, now there's no Romeo Doubs, so now he has.
There is no Doubs.
Yeah, and we all know Jaden Reed's going to miss.
Time I was going to say Jaden Reed would probably be my go-to there, but
no, Matthew Golden's be better.
He can't stay on the field either. I'll throw some things at you. You tell me if you would agree or disagree. Things that wouldn't surprise me in 2026. Patriots missing the playoffs.
Would not surprise me.
That would surprise me.
That would surprise. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Jason just said it. You guys are playing the Jets and the Dolphins that's 4 games. It's 4 games. They're 4-0. Patriots. Now listen, I think right now they're over under on like MGM and all of them is like 11, I think, or 10.5. I'm taking the under. I think they win 10 games. I think they win 10 games. You know why? Because you guys know that no Super Bowl loser has ever hit their over the season after they lost the Super Bowl. Did you guys know that?
Yeah, I don't think they come back either.
I should say the last 11 years. In the last 11 years, no Super Bowl loser has ever hit their over the next season. That's never happened in the last 11 seasons.
What if I said David Montgomery has a career year in Houston?
In terms of what? Fantasy? In fantasy value or just in
fantasy?
Terms? Yeah, because I think he's going to have 14 or 15 touchdowns.
He's
Yeah.
he's their goal line guy for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to have 14 or 15 touchdowns. You add in the receptions, you add in the yards. Yeah, I think.
Is Joe Mixon still there?
No, I think Mixon's retiring.
I think he is too. It's Woody Marks. But I still think Dave Montgomery is going to be – I think he's a top 10 fantasy running back because of the touchdowns.
Let me ask you this one. Ashton Genty scoring 15-plus touchdowns.
I don't know, only because I don't know what's going on at quarterback there.
Wouldn't surprise me. At all.
How about Isaiah Likely becoming a clear top 10 tight end for the Baltimore, or not Baltimore? He signed with
the Giants. I don't think so because I think they like their tight end 2 or 1 or whatever you consider him, the guy they drafted last year, and now he's in the same situation he was in Baltimore. It's going to be a.
This is one I see Brandon in the chat there. Tua Tagovailoa being extended by the Atlanta Falcons.
No,
that would surprise me.
That would surprise you?
Yes, 100%.
I'll give you a
They're obviously not happy with Penix, and I think they're waiting for this next draft to come along to get another quarterback.
I'll give you this. I'll give you a Bears one. Roman Dunze having 1,100 plus yards, receiving yards.
That would not surprise me.
It would not surprise me. Remember, before he got injured, he was, I think, leading the league in touchdowns.
Yeah.
So
1,100 yards. It's a little tougher. I mean, if you're not talking about a touchdown, 1,100 yards is a little bit tougher because I think Luther Burden's going to have more yards than Roman Dunze. So you're talking about 2 1,100 plus yard receivers, but
one of the other.
You know what? Actually, it would surprise me. It would surprise me just because of how good Colston Loveland is, and with Luther Burden, I think the emergence of Luther Burden. I think we're going to see it this year. I think Luther Burden's going to become the clear-cut number 1 for the Chicago Bears. I just don't think. Not because Roman Dunze is like not a good enough receiver to get to 1,100 yards. There's only one ball.
A lot of food, or a lot of meat. Yeah.
I know this one's not going to surprise you guys. Arizona earning the number 1 overall pick in the 2027 NFL draft.
That one actually, that would surprise. That would
surprise you.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Jay,
it's hard to be the worst team in the league twice in a row, but.
Well, and you guys, the Jets are just absolute dog shit, horrendous, garbage, awful. Geno Smith, who's the receivers?
Okay, Geno Smith or Jacoby Brissett?
I'd take Jacoby Brissett over Geno Smith.
Yeah, at this point, probably.
You guys, Geno Smith had like 16 picks through 5 weeks. 5 weeks last year, dude. He's
like
bad,
asking,
dude.
What do you like the smell
He's
of better,
bad,
dog shit or horse shit? Like,
I think the Jets. I think the Jets get the number 1 pick in the draft. I think Jets or Browns. I think it goes Jets, Browns, Cardinals. The Cardinals have a lot of talent. They just don't have an amazing quarterback.
You have a lot of talent
on that. And the Cardinals' last 2 drafts, they have absolutely killed it. To be honest with you guys, I like Amari Cooper, whatever his name is, Omar Cooper, that the Jets drafted. I don't think they should have taken the tight end in the first round. I don't. I think that the Jets have too many issues to be taking a tight end in the first round. That's just me personally. And I know a lot of people love that pick, and he's going to get drafted in fantasy in the first 10 rounds. And people think he's going to be some badass. And he's going to carry their fantasy team. I don't see it, man.
Let me ask you guys this. If I said Cardinals go Chargers, Seahawks, Niners, Giants, Lions, Rams, Broncos, Cowboys, Seahawks, Rams, Chiefs, Commanders, Eagles, then they get the Jets, the Saints, the Raiders, and then the Niners again. Does that change your mind? Them being the worst team?
No, not at all. Not at all, because there's a good chance that they probably play 2 backup quarterbacks based off what we've seen in the last few years. That quarterbacks are getting hurt like it's going out of style. The Bears played 7 last year, 7 backup quarterbacks. There's probably a good chance the Cardinals play 2. There's probably a good chance they beat the Jets because the Jets suck, are garbage, terrible, awful
Jets
team.
are terrible.
So yeah. I think there's a chance that them beating the Jets, that what would you say, week 14 or 15? I think that's what gives the Jets the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. I think
that could very well be. That could very well be. That game could be the Bears and Carolina.
Listen, you guys, I'm not a huge Jacoby Brissett fan. I'm not. But people are comparing the worst quarterbacks in the NFL: Shadur Sanders, Jacoby Brissett, Geno Smith. Go look at Geno Smith's numbers last year and look at Jacoby Brissett's. Tell me who's better.
There was a noticeable uptick in performance when Jacoby Brissett took over.
He threw for 250 plus yards in every single game he played. Now, listen, I know he also threw the ball 50 times a game in that time frame, but what did Geno Smith do? He threw for like 120 yards a game and averaged 3 interceptions a game. Geno Smith
He was
sucks, guys.
abysmal
He's
last
not
year.
good, man. You know why he played well in Seattle? Because Seattle's a damn good organization, and they mask their deficiencies, and they keep the quarterback out of harm's way, and they simplify the offense. Geno Smith is now with a defensive head coach on the Jets. He doesn't, outside of Amar Cooper, who's going to take a while to Sean, you've talked about how long it takes tight ends to acclimate to the NFL. I don't expect Sadiq to be like the number 1 tight end in the NFL come week 10. I think
we had
Smith,
Mason Taylor too, who was pretty good last year. Like,
sure, but not as good as Trey McBride.
what I'm saying, you wasted a pick on a tight end when you already had.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like.
Taylor looked pretty good last year.
I liked the Omar Cooper pick because you need a receiver.
You need a wide receiver.
You need somebody to help. Yeah, you need somebody to help Garrett Wilson out. But yeah, you need somebody to take on some double teams with Garrett Wilson get open. But the tight end pick, I did not like at all.
Not a fan.
Arizona just needed really a good running game, and maybe they got it with Jeremiah Love. But they both need quarterbacks. You know, talk about 2 teams in Cleveland and the Jets who really the last like 3 or 4 years they've had really good drafts. You can't tell me that they haven't. They just haven't drafted the quarterback that you need. And as Bears fans, we know this, right? There is nothing like having a good quarterback, and you don't really appreciate it until you've had 30 in a row that suck. And I think Green Bay fans, once Jordan Love is done, I think they're going to, maybe be in that category where they are going to have some problems finding another quarterback because you're not guaranteed, especially if you're making the playoffs or fighting for the playoffs, that you're going to be high enough to get a good quarterback.
Well, and you don't have Ted Thompson anymore. Remember, right. Ted Thompson, I think he drafted Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, right? He drafted both of them. He might have drafted he may have made the trade for Brett Favre from the Falcons too. Ted Thompson was there for a long time, very long time, but they have not been making the same championship caliber moves that they made prior to Ted Thompson leaving that organization. It's not the same team, man. And I don't think the odds of getting 4 really good quarterbacks in a row are slim to none. Like at some point, Green Bay.
Well, I wouldn't say Jordan Love is really good. He's just good, right? He's not terrible. He's not.
Yeah, but I mean,
overrated is 100% correct.
It just sucks because you thought you're like, well, you had Aaron Rodgers, you had Brett Favre. There's no way this next kid's going to be good. You guys have to fall into some hardships and some bad luck at some point. But Jordan Love is not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. He's not terrible. I think he sucks, but
you let him stand back there, he'll beat your ass for sure.
Well, yeah, you can't let him, play because if you let him win, he'll beat you. He does have talent. I just don't think he has the big game ability in him.
Yeah,
to win the game.
Jason, I agree. Like I think Brett Favre obviously Hall of Fame. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be your first ballot Hall of Famer without a doubt. I don't. Jordan Love, what he's done so far in the NFL, he's not a Hall of Famer. No. Not a chance now. Not a chance now.
Yeah, I'm
right here. I got a couple for you, Sean.
Go ahead.
You ready? Surprised or not surprised? With Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnson there, surprised or not surprised? Trey Harris finishes as the number 1 fantasy wide receiver in Los Angeles.
I would be shocked.
I think it's still Ladd McConkey.
I would be shocked because I think Ladd McConkey is going to absolutely explode this year.
It's possible that Amari and Hampton might have more receiving yards than Trey Harris.
I'll just say this. When it comes to Trey Harris, you know how much I liked him as well. I thought it was an A.J. Brown clone. But if you're drafting Brendan Thompson and you have Trey Harris in the fold, that kind of wakes my mind up to say maybe they're not as sold on Trey Harris and there's some deficiencies in that game that they didn't like.
Maybe it's blocking or route running or something. Yeah.
It could very well be. I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I liked Trey Harris a lot in the draft, and I think he is going to be damn good. All right, here's another one. Surprised or not surprised? Christian Kirk finishes as the number 1 fantasy receiver in San Francisco. So obviously, you'd be banking on a Mike Evans injury.
Well, there's Mike Evans is going to get hurt for 8 weeks. We know that for a fact.
I think most of us can agree that's probably going to happen. But do you think Ricky Pearsall or Deshaun Stribling could?
I think Stribling could. He's actually a guy I want to talk about too later. But
I think if Ricky Pearsall stays healthy, I think Ricky Pearsall could have a humongous season. Health is his biggest issue. But no, it wouldn't surprise me because Christian Kirk is slept on every year. Everyone thinks he sucks, and all the dude does is go out there and catch balls and make big plays in the NFL. So
Yeah.
every place that guy has stopped, he's been a difference maker, and he's one of the most disrespected players in the league. I'm a personal fan of Christian Kirk, and no, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
All right. Surprised or not surprised, Chikakakwe finishes as a top 8 tight end in Washington.
Chiggy?
Top 8?
Top 8 tight end.
Yeah, probably.
With the best quarterback he's ever played with.
It's
Yeah,
possible.
probably.
I just don't know how efficient their offense is going to be without any good wide receivers.
I can think of 8 tight ends off the top of my head. I think that could beat him. You know?
There's like 4 of them in the NFC North.
Yeah, like
Surprised or not surprised, Valdez-Scantling finishes with 8+ touchdowns in Dallas.
That would surprise me. I don't. I think
One of
the
the
two
best,
main
one of the
guys
best,
are two.
one of the best deep ball quarterbacks in the NFL. Obviously, Dak Prescott.
in Dallas,
Yeah,
MVS with
He's going to beat out.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of single team coverage, a lot of single coverage
Well,
with George
I'm
Pickens
sure.
and CeeDee Lamb on the field. He's going to be open a lot. You've seen that with Turpin and the guys who played with the Cowboys in the past, but none of those guys were able to take advantage of it.
I would say
MVS's speed might change the dynamic.
I would say yes because
yes, you'd be surprised.
Look at his career. His career high is 6, and he's 31 years old now. So yeah, I think that would surprise me because I think when they get it in that red zone, Ferguson and CeeDee Lamb and Pickens are going to get your 1, 2, 3 look. And I still think that when you're looking over the middle, he's going to be looking for CeeDee Lamb. I think in the seam, he'll be looking for Jake Ferguson. And when you get out to the boundary, I think you'll be looking for Pickens. So I could see him having 5 or 6. I think 8 might be a tad bit high for my personal faith.
All right, one more for you. Chris Olave, Jordan Tyson, and Bryce Lance finishes the #1 fantasy wide receiver trio.
Ooh. Fantasy trio, maybe, because I can see them. It's a weak division, and coming off of those last 6 games.
You got to think about some of the other.
Trio.
You got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, so the third one just needs to put in a little bit of
work.
work.
Surprise me.
You got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Juwan Jennings. I mean, there's a lot.
You're talking about 2 rookies. It wouldn't surprise me if Chris Olave finished as a top 10 wide receiver. I don't know about the trio, though. I'd have to say, yeah, that would surprise me because they're 2 rookies.
Yeah, you might need to give them a little bit because usually rookies take like 6, 7, 8 games to kind of hit their stride as a wide receiver, where running backs a lot of times can hit their stride right off the bat. But wide receivers, I think it's just a different game. They got to get down blocking. They got to get down their routes and understand that, like, an offensive playbook that's probably 3 times the size of as it was in college. I mean, look at the Bears had 2 great rookies, right? We had Luther Burden and Colston Loveland, and it took them both like 6 or 7 games to really kind of get into it.
I agree. The only thing is there's not much. I
will say this, Kyle.
There's not much competition.
I'll say this, Kyle. I like what they did for Tyler Shough there. I love Tyson. I love Lance. But don't sleep on Juwan Jennings there or Juwan Johnson there either, because Juwan Johnson is a huge part of that offense.
Right.
I think Chris Olave is going to explode.
One more for you guys. This one's a reach, but Isaac Tesla finishes with more touchdowns than Jameson Williams.
Oh yeah, that would not surprise me at all. That guy catches everything thrown his way.
Catches touchdown. What he catches is touchdown.
What did he have last year? What were their numbers last year?
Well, he didn't play much.
He didn't play that much.
Yeah, he would only get like 2 targets a game. I think this year he's their number 3. I mean, Khalif Raymond's gone. He's their number 3. They don't have anything else. They don't have anything else.
Yeah,
I
think Tesla's a stud. Dude.
I think Isaac Tesla might end up being a badass at some point in the NFL. Oh man,
I'll tell you this: just watching him in the small sample size, he jumps up in my mind as some of the best hands in the NFL. That's for sure. I mean, those hands are sticky gloves.
Well, and he's amazing at making in-air adjustments, just adjusting to the football. He is absolutely phenomenal at doing it. He really is.
Speaking of
Tesla, scares me a little bit, man.
16 receptions, 239 yards, 6 touchdowns.
Yeah,
6 touchdowns off 16 receptions. Bro, what the? That's insane.
Yeah, Tesla.
That's insane.
I think Tesla takes a step forward for sure. I think he's more involved in the offense as the number 3. And I'll be honest, you want him stashed on your bench because if anything were to happen to St. Brown or to Jamison Williams, he's going to explode.
Yeah, and he's a possession receiver, good for Jared Goff. He's not afraid of running across the middle of the field. Good for Jared Goff. He's good. Like True Pilgrim says he's super slow, but that's a team that gets the ball to the hands of the quarterback.
Good
fast.
route runners can be slow.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Is Drew Petzing going to make it happen?
That's the other anchor.
Drew Petzing was definitely a better offensive coordinator than he was head coach. Tell you that. Well, what's up, Steve? What's up, J2K? Thanks for joining the show, man. Let's get into fantasy here, guys. What do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, let's giddy up.
Now that we got some fantasy, now we got some people in the chat here because it was a super slow start, but we're getting our numbers coming back up a little bit here. So let's talk about fantasy, guys. Anybody in the chat, you want to add anything or you want to give your opinion, please feel free.
I got a few for you. I just strictly went. I got a couple of like older players. I think that might bounce back early. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rookies here that I am absolutely in love with. So I'll get one started. I talked about him a little bit on Monday. I said I'd bring him back and back up what I said here with him. Craig John Allen, the minute he got drafted, was the best player in the secondary. I know they picked up Ricard White and Jerome Ford. I think they might be a little bit of a factor. I think, unfortunately, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I think he's going to take a little bit of a step back. Craig John Allen is actually 2 full years younger than Bill as well. Penn State's all-time leading rusher, 4,180 yards, coming off of last year, 1,303 rushing yards, 15-plus touchdowns. Good size, 6 foot, 216, great vision, physical presence. He was consistently productive, even with Singleton splitting reps. I absolutely love him. He's going to be very, very high on my board this year. If you look at this here, his carries versus heavy boxes, number 1 in the class, 27% touches per game, second in class, number 1 in rushes per game, 11 yards, 11%, third in the class there, light boxes, 7 yards per carry. Number 3 in pass protection in this class, so you can put him on the field in any package. I love this kid. I'm giving him away. I know Kyle will pull a Travion Henderson and steal him in the 3rd round on me like he did last year. But I absolutely love Craig Allen a ton.
No, Sean, no disrespect. And I think you're very good at fantasy. You know your shit and you're good with sleepers. I ain't touching any Commanders running backs. There's just too many of them, man. That's the problem. There's too many of them, man. I mean,
Craig Allen's going to run away with that.
There was games where Rodriguez looked amazing, and they were like, and then the next week they're like, Rodriguez, you're not touching the ball. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, you look amazing. And then the next game they're like, Ja'Cory Krosky, you're not touching the ball. And then who was the last one there? Who was the other running back there in Washington last year? Not Rodriguez and not Krosky-Merritt. There was another one.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking. Jeremy McNichols.
McNichols, yeah, and then they have a game. I'm
going to tell you this right now: the talent that Allen puts out there, he's going to be undeniable. He's going to be on that football field. He's going to earn that starting job. I promise you that.
Sean, I got a guy that I think might be on the similar path as yours. Another running back, Mr. Jonah Coleman, a running back.
Oh, God damn you!
Dude, listen, if you look at him, he's somewhere between 5'9", 5'8", and 220, 228. Build-wise, he reminds me a lot of like Kyle Monungai. You know, not very tall, but like just solid muscle, right? Huge legs. So the height doesn't really bother you because he's got enough muscle to pad himself from hits. But you know, he had 17 touchdowns in college, and they were playing a lot of Big Ten teams, big name teams. I know Washington isn't necessarily a top tier blue chip school, but you know they played Oregon, they played Michigan. They were playing big name teams. That guy, and you know how much Sean Payton loves his running backs. Now I know they got R.J. Harvey still and J.K. Dobbins, but both of those guys are slightly injury prone. And I'm thinking this kid is going to be a straight up touchdown machine for them. He does not shy away from contact. He runs over guys. He's got a really, really kind of elite level first jump cut. There's actually some tape on him. They show him doing that, practicing during their OTAs. I think he's going to get a lot of usage, and I think it might be like, you know, I know they just re-signed J.K. Dobbins like a 2-year deal or whatever. But I think the writing's on the wall that this kid's probably going to wind up being the starting running back in Denver.
Yeah, I was looking at him too, Jay. Those 17 touchdowns were 5th most in college football last year. And like you said, man, it's the opportunities. You can't trust J.K. Dobbins. That body breaks down.
Right.
This might be a guy that just you just have to stash. But a natural TD scorer, like you said, he's surprisingly versatile. Elite yak.
He kept the ball well, believe it or not. Yeah.
Elite yak. I don't know. I mean, he's obviously a stash because there is a 3-headed monster there.
Right.
And I like Jesus Christ. What's the kids they drafted last year?
RJ Harvey.
RJ Harvey. I really like him as well. I think
yeah.
I think these two together could be a great 1-2 punch. Take some pressure off of Bo Nix and lighten up some boxes for Nix. So yeah, I like Jonah Coleman. He was on my list to get to here.
But Denver knows how to like identify running back talent. So whoever they draft, you got to keep an eye on. They're probably going to be good. Now, maybe next year, you know what I mean? I don't know. But I think RJ Harvey is still obviously on his rookie deal. And who knows if they try to trade JK or if he does get hurt. He had a pretty good, healthy season last year. I don't think it was too bad. But, if he misses 5 games, guess who's filling
in? Yeah.
I like it.
You got one, Kyle?
I mean, I don't really have it. I didn't look at in the fantasy sleepers too much. I mean, there's one guy I would keep my eye on, man, and it's just because there's really, I mean, you talk about one of the worst wide receiver rooms in the league. Look at the Miami Dolphins. I think Chris Bell. I don't think it's going to take Chris Bell very long to take. And I know everybody's afraid of rookie wide receivers because it takes them so long to acclimate to the NFL. But you guys, there's just not much competition there. And like, I know people don't love Malik Willis, but you got to throw the ball to somebody. Somebody's got to catch it. So I think Chris Bell could easily end up being a fantasy wide receiver 3 this year for somebody.
Chris Bell is one of my favorite players. I was hoping the Bears would get under him if he didn't get hurt.
Have you guys looked at the rest of the receiving corps?
Well, Caleb Douglas is there too. And Caleb Douglas is going to give him a run for his money. He was drafted as well this year, so don't forget about Caleb Douglas.
But I'm talking about Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tober, and Washington.
No, all their rookies. It's going to be the rookie show there. Caleb Douglas and Chris Bell are going to have the opportunities. And Kyle, to the point, Chris Bell, if he didn't get hurt and had to recover from this injury, he very well would have been considered one of the best wide receivers and possibly a first-round talent in this draft this past year. Chris Bell is an absolute stud, man.
For me personally, like if I'm looking for my number 3 receiver and most of the talent's off the board, and now you're playing that guessing game with rookies, just based off of opportunity, Chris Bell would be pretty high in my rankings if you're looking for another receiver.
I agree. I'm going to give you guys here another man that I have a big time crush on. And, for me, when I look at this, I look for opportunity. When I look at some of these sleepers, I'm looking for opportunity, guys that are going to get on the field. And a guy that I absolutely love where he fell, and another guy I was hoping that the Bears, if they were looking at a wide receiver in this draft, would have been a guy that they would have considered. I don't know if he was on their board or they would have considered him at all. But that, my friends, is Skyler freaking Bell. It's been 2 years at Wisconsin where he didn't really show up and show out that much, but he busted out this year at UConn. He transferred there after barely cracking 500 total receiving yards in 3 years at Wisconsin. To me, he's an extremely fluid athlete. And he's coming off 865 touchdowns in 2024. Back that up this year with 1,278 yards. Second in FBS and 13 touchdowns, 4.4 speed, can stretch the field, can play both inside and out. You can line this kid up in the slot. You can put him on the boundary. You can do whatever you want with them. As you see, 7.8 catches per game was number 1, 34.5% target rate, number 1. This kid, opposite DJ Moore, is going to –
They finally got him some weapons, Sean.
Yes, they finally got Josh Allen some weapons. This is not a reincarnation of the bum they drafted a couple years ago. When they drafted him, I said, what's his name?
Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman was going to suck ass. I think this kid is going to be elite. He's going to get on the outside. He's going to get open. He's going to be a difference maker right away for the Chicago Bears. For the Buffalo Bills, love me some Skyler Bell, and I will be looking at him because as much as we think that DJ Moore can have 1,300 yards, and I think Dalton Kincaid will be involved. You have some pass catching ability out of your running back in James Cook. Skylar Bell, I know Shakur is there. He likes to play the slot as your possession receiver, but I think he might be splitting some of that with this explosive young kid, Skylar Bell, especially splitting out wide opposite DJ Moore. So
you got to love that catch rate of 60, the contested catch rate of 65%. That really kind of stuck out to me more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because, DJ Moore is not a contested catch guy, right? He's just not big enough to be that guy. But he's a really good route runner. So if you give him a weapon that, hey, in the corner of the end zone, contested catch, you already got Dalton Kincaid, who's
I don't
really
believe
good
so,
now.
Steve.
What's that?
He says, wasn't Keon hurt last year? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think it just wasn't good.
His pride was hurt because he sucks.
Yeah, I think he was benched. Didn't he? He didn't show up to a team meeting.
Oh, he had
and they benched him for, I think it was 2 games actually. He missed due to team suspension, but I don't think he was ever actually injured.
Hey, just remember this, Kyle. Remember when they drafted Keon Coleman? And I was like, dude, Keon Coleman's going to suck. You know why? His number one knock coming into the NFL was he couldn't separate in college. You're playing the best defensive backs in the world now. If you can't separate in college, you ain't going to separate in the NFL.
Yeah, the True Pilgrim says I may be the minority, but I think Keon's going to break out this season. Hey, man, I hope he does because I like Sean and I are both. The Bills aren't my second favorite team, but I like the Bills a lot because I love Josh Allen. So I hope that they have a good season because until the Super Bowl, the Bears don't have to worry about them. Jason, you got another one?
A couple of guys we already talked about, like we were talking about Jordan Tyson earlier. I think that's a really good rookie to pick up. But again, with all rookies, a lot of times it does take them a few weeks as a wide receiver to get into the game. I like Deshaun Stribling, but the guy that I think is really going to get a lion's share and probably on everybody's radar. So I can't really say he's a sleeper, but I think he's getting every handoff there's going to be there. And that is Mr. Jadarian Price, because I think Charbonnet is going to miss most, if not all, of the season. And that's going to put a lot of weight on that kid's shoulders. He's got, big shoes to fill for sure, but there's a lot of target share for him.
I think he might be a second-round pick in fantasy.
Yeah, he's going to
go. Once again, just due to opportunity, right? Who else are you giving the ball? You don't really have an option. Yep. I really keep a close watch on guys, and maybe you pick them up later in the season. Maybe you don't draft them, but I just don't love the situation in Washington. I think Luke McCaffrey's had shown flashes of being somewhat relevant, but I don't think he's going to be like a world beater at any point in his career. Antonio Williams on the Washington Commanders is a guy who I think.
Don't even
steal your guy, Sean.
Yeah, that was my next fucking guy, Antonio.
Well,
Williams.
Sean, go ahead. You got more information. I didn't have it. I wasn't all prepared, so you got all the stats. I think Antonio Williams. Once again, guys, it's opportunity. Opportunity.
Right. It is opportunity, man. And I'll just say this, man. 2,336 receiving yards, 21 touchdowns, freshman production. I'm just gonna say, man, Kyle, opportunity. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the show. There's nobody freaking there. And the reason why this guy didn't get drafted higher was because people were worried about his size at 6 foot 190. Well, I hate to tell you guys this. Ladd McConkey is a 6 foot 185. He's the exact same size as this guy. He has yak upside. He has a good quarterback. He has a clear path to slot volume in that Redskins offense, Commanders, whatever. Strong hands, solid production profile. He's a quality separator, and one of his biggest pros is he's a great route runner. I'm with you, Kyle, on this one. I absolutely love this guy. This was also another wide receiver I was hoping would fall and the Bears would be looking at because, man, you can really fill the slot with this kid, man. Antonio Williams is an absolute stud muffin, man. Good call, Kyle. Good call.
He just went to a really shitty team.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He's going to have opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's tough. The rookies are so tough because, you would think that when you're rating rookies in your wide receiver rankings, you're like, oh, well, this guy was the best in college. This guy was the second best in college. But that's just not how it is when you're talking about rookies because you guys, Luther Burden was the second round pick last year, but you didn't have him high in your fantasy rankings because he had to beat out DJ Moore and Rome Odunze. So you're like, oh, how much can he pass? How much play is going to get on the field? When are they going to integrate him? When is he going to start making an impact? Guys like Antonio Williams, he may not be not be the best receiver in the draft. He wasn't a first round pick. He wasn't a second round pick. But when you're talking about competing with Luke McCaffrey, and now that they replaced. I think Zach Ertz was their number 2 receiver last year, if I'm not mistaken. He's been replaced by Okonkwo. We don't know what Okonkwo's going to do there. It's just barely based off of opportunity. I think
that's all fantasy is this time of year. Who's going to get the lion's share of targets or handoffs? That's all it is.
When you see that depth chart play out, you start to see some of the rookies ranked 2nd or 3rd on the depth chart. You're like, well, man, I think that Omar Cooper's probably going to be a better receiver, but or this Mekhi Lemon's going to be a better receiver, but they have to beat certain players out. There's just nobody to beat out in Washington. That's the problem. Yeah. Nobody there.
You got another one, Jay?
Really just some risers. And honestly, we already talked about Omarion Hampton and DJ Moore. Kind of beat them to death here. It's kind of fun and interesting. We were talking about weapons in the NFC North, but specifically for the Bears, how many years, there was Matt Forte was the only guy you really wanted on the Bears, maybe Jay Cutler. But for a long time, we really didn't have guys that you really seriously wanted on your fantasy football team. And this year, I'm going to just throw out 2 names. We don't really need to talk about them because we talk about these guys all the time. But I really think might have stellar years. We've already talked about Caleb Williams. I'm not too high on the Bears wide receivers in fantasy just yet, just because I don't know how the shares are going to kind of dish out, right? I don't want to spend a high draft pick on a guy that's only going to have 6 or 7 touchdowns, right? But I think Colston Loveland, now in his 2nd year as a tight end, is going to be highly drafted, especially around Chicagoland area, right? Everybody knows him, but he is a guy that has number 1 tight end in the league potential. And that's a guy I will most certainly be targeting.
Yeah, because Scott Angel's too stupid not to keep him. Who did he say he was going to keep, Kyle? Over Colston Loveland?
RJ Harvey was in the conversation.
RJ,
We just talked about a running back that's probably going to pass him up.
When he finishes in last place, we're going to know why.
I mean, I think I think he's also waiting to. I don't know what's going to happen with Quinshon Judkins. I don't know if he's coming back this season. I haven't read into the injury at all, but I think he probably would consider Quinshon Judkins. If Judkins is only going to miss the first handful of weeks, 3 weeks, then you're talking about maybe a top 10 running back for the rest of the season. Yeah. I still would keep Colston Loveland because you're going to get a full season out of him. And I think Jason, not only do we think he has the potential to be the number 1 fantasy tight end, I think he is going to be the number 1 fantasy tight end. And not because I think he's better than Trey McBride or Brock Bowers. I just think Colston Loveland plays a very particular role. He's more of a receiver. He's not really a tight end. He's more Cole Kmet and Sam Roush are going to be your end of the line tight ends. Colston Loveland's going to play a lot in the slot and outside, a lot. He's just a really big, fast receiver. He's too big for corners. He's too fast for linebackers. He's a freak of nature, and I think there's a very good chance he ends up with 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns.
So it's funny you said that. So here's a surprise, not surprise. Do you think there's a chance that Colston Loveland could be the number 1 receiver in Chicago next year or this year?
No, I think there's a very good chance he could be the number 1 receiver in Chicago. I think he actually right now probably has a leg up. But here's the problem. We haven't seen the potential of Luther Burden. If Luther Burden is what we think he is, if his ceiling is what we think it is, and he is Antonio Brown, he's the next Antonio Brown, Luther Burden, I think he's better than Colston Loveland.
Yeah.
Another sleeper I have for you guys, and we talked about him earlier, and it's just because
please be on Sean's list.
No, it's just he's not Sean. He's not.
The next one's a deep sleeper.
He's not a rookie, Sean. He's not a rookie, but a guy who I think just fell in a really good situation. And what Sean you talked about earlier with the injuries to Ricky Pearsall, I think people should keep an eye on Christian Kirk. I agree. If he's there in late rounds,
he does produce, man.
Yeah, and I think that's
you might get a good value out of him.
And I think in his career he's been put in some good situations, but some really bad situations. I think Kyle Shanahan's probably the best situation he's ever going to be. And I just don't. George Kittle's probably going to get injured at some point. I think we could all count on that, right? Do you guys disagree with that?
Everybody on San Fran.
I hope not, because I love George Kittle so much.
I love George Kittle, and I think when he's healthy, he's a top 3 tight end, but he's never healthy. Another guy, Ricky Pearsall, probably going to get injured at some point in the season, right? So I think a lot of responsibility.
Disappointment in 2025, dude.
I think by default, a lot of responsibility is going to fall on Christian Kirk's shoulders by default, and I think he's going to have. I think you're talking about over 1,000 yards and a handful of touchdowns, and for a guy you can probably get in round 13, 14, 15 in your draft, I think you could do much worse.
And hey, another pass catcher that might actually get hurt is Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. He's due for an injury.
If Christian Kirk goes there and tears his ACL, nobody should ever go play at San Fran ever again. Ever again for the history of their careers. Ever.
I'm going to give you a deep sleeper. This guy's more of a stash, but there's a chance that he could play, and if he shows up, he could show out. but he is a stash because there is some what we call competition struggle there with Ibuka, Godwin, McMillan, and Tez Johnson already having
And Kate Otton's no scrub.
and Kate Otton's there too, but just in the wide receivers. But we did see, we talked about it earlier too, all the injuries that happened last year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're looking at a guy in college now, a smaller school guy in Ted Hurst. I understand that, but you can look at some other smaller school guys. Cooper Kupp out of Eastern Washington, Adam Thielen out of Minnesota State, a really, really big name, and Randy Moss coming out of Marshall. So this kid averaged 16 yards per catch as his collegiate average. He had 56 catches and 961 yards and 9 touchdowns in 2024. He backed it up in 2025 with 71 catches for 1,004 and 6 touchdowns. Those are his last 2 years at Georgia State. He's an early breakout. He's 20 years old, but he's 6'3", 206 pounds.
Dude, in that picture, he looks 6'5", 258.
Let me see the video. Oh, yeah. Well, I think that might be juiced up a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's some AI in there, but he looks like the biggest tight end in the NFL outside of Darnell Washington in that picture.
I'll be honest, dude. I really like this kid. I don't like where he fell, but fantasy is all about sometimes drafting players and stashing them. You don't win fantasy championships without taking shots at players with high upsides. This kid gets a shot. Godwin's going to get hurt. He's another one.
Sean, Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan are no strangers to injury. So he might be playing sooner than you think.
Right. And I'm not going to knock Tez Johnson because I like what Jay's guy from last year was Tez Johnson, and he showed up and showed out.
Yeah,
his size is always a concern for an injury. I don't like where he went, but like I said, you don't win fantasy championships sometimes without taking shots. You have this kid on your bench with some injuries. 16 yards a catch as a college average, dude. That's amazing. That's amazing, dude. I know it was at Georgia State in a smaller school, but I gave you some examples. Thielen, Cooper Kupp. No one knew Cooper Kupp was going to be that coming out of Eastern Michigan.
Puka
Nakua is another one. Yeah, that's another one, dude. So I'm kind of.
Well, dude, and one thing we know about the Bucs is they're damn good at evaluating wide receiver talent.
Yes,
there's not a question about it. That team knows what they're doing when it comes to wide receivers.
So the NFL average, guys, is between.
I like that one a lot, Sean.
Yards.
That one I might snake from you, Sean.
What did you say, Jay?
The league average is between 11 and 12 yards per catch. So let's say there is some adjustment between college down to the NFL. And it gets down to 11. He's right at the league average. I mean, that's really actually a pretty good stat for a rookie coming in, right? Because it's going to take some time to adjust or whatever. But if he can hit that 11 yards, 12 yards of carry, he's basically a full-bred NFL wide receiver.
I'll give you one more. I didn't do a graphic for him because I just grabbed him off of my 2026 fantasy list late. But the other running back from Penn State, dude, Nick Singleton fell into a great situation. Tony Pollard's getting old. Tajay Spears can't stay healthy.
I think he's gonna start, bro.
Nick Singleton, he's an elite pure rusher. He has top end speed, patience, power. Dude, he squats 665 pounds. That's more than Saquon Barkley. All those videos that they put out of Saquon Barkley, like, look at how much he can. Dude, this kid squats more than him, dude. I really fucking dude. You're right, Kyle. He may win this job and start out right for this team.
Dude, I think that team's been begging for a starting running back for the last 3 years
since Derrick Henry left.
Yeah, and he might be it. I'll give you one more.
I got one more too.
I'll do this one really quick because this one you guys are gonna laugh at me for saying because he can't stay healthy. He came into college. I was really big on him when he came out. But Rico Dowdle's gone now. He's still only 22 years old. Right now he has a 13 round ADP, and injuries have obviously derailed this card. He's got 9 total regular season attempts in his first 2 NFL years. Look at Carolina and don't sleep on Jonathan Brooks.
Well, he was a big prospect coming out of college. I mean,
Yep.
but then again, so was like Blake Corum, and some of these guys that are overly touted. I sometimes like get red flags pop up because I'm like, dude,
Hey, for a 13th,
like this guy, but
for a 13th round ADP, when you're drafting what, your 5th or 6th running back, and you throw him on there, maybe as a droppable piece. But again, like I said,
he'll probably go last round, Sean. To be perfectly honest with you,
he might. You know what? It's really going to depend on what he does, in OTAs and how he looks in training camp, because you know these guys will start jumping up lists if he's blowing up,
jumping out of pools and shit. Right?
Yeah. So
well, real quick, I have another one, but I'm going to throw one out because I've talked about him so much, so often. I really think, once again, two more guys who are no stranger to injuries, Quentin Johnson and Ladd McConkey. If either of them get hurt, I think Trey Harris I think he's already slotted to play that Keenan Allen role from last year. If one of those guys gets hurt, I think Trey Harris could be on the verge of explosion. But a guy, and I'm going to butcher his name for sure, no doubt about it. And I'm sure Sean, based off the fact that you study every single player who plays college football, you probably know this name. But you guys out there in Atlanta, the number 2 receiver, or listed right now as the number 2 receiver, is Olamide Zaccheaus to replace Darnell Mooney.
Yeah,
I think a guy who could take that job pretty damn quick is Zachariah Branch. I think he played at Georgia.
Oh yeah,
Zachariah Branch.
Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good one, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, you got obviously Drake London's the guy. You're not going to plant him as your number 1. He's one of the
Mooney's
best.
Mooney's gone too. I think Mooney left.
Yeah, he did. Mooney's gone. So, and I think he's on the Giants now, Mooney. But yeah, you're not going to supplant Drake London as the number 1. But I don't think it will take long, guys, for Branch to take that number 2 role in Atlanta. And I understand the quarterback situation is kind of a toss-up right now. People really don't trust it. It sucks to have wide receivers who have bad quarterback situations. But once again, you got to throw the ball to somebody, right? And somebody's got to catch it. And outside of Drake London takes a lot of attention because a lot of bracket coverage. So I think there's a very good chance that by come week 7, 8, 9, Branch could be a legitimate wide receiver 2 in fantasy football. I really
Tua's not great, but he can throw the deep ball. I mean, he did for years. So
I love what True Bogram says. He says, Oz is hanging on by a thread. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I liked the Zaccheaus signing when they made it last year, but I've seen enough. Absolutely. To be honest with you, I think that was a desperation signing by the Falcons because most wide receivers were gone at that point. I think Branch ends up being the number 2 before the season ends. So that's just me.
I'm gonna give you a bold prediction because he does. This is one of my bold predictions. I'm probably gonna stick by it because I have about 7 of his rookie cards. I've liked this kid since he came into the league, and it looks like he's finally gonna get an opportunity. Alex Pierce obviously secured the bag, but people are forgetting they have a very good wide receiver in Josh Downs. Michael Pittman's off to Pittsburgh. I expect a big boost for Josh Downs here. Maybe even possibly 100+ targets as the number 2 receiver out there in Indianapolis, because I'll tell you one thing that Alex Pierce has not shown to be, and that's a possession receiver. Josh Downs can play inside. He can play out. He's got the speed to take the top off the defense. He's a great route runner. Watch out for Josh Downs.
Sean, here's some funny, and I agree. If Josh Downs can stay healthy, I think he is the number 2. But it's funny. One of my sleepers, who I was gonna say earlier, but I'm like, I just don't trust him. But if Josh Downs does get hurt and Alec Pierce does prove to be a one-trick pony kind of guy, I think Westbrook Akine could have a good season in Indianapolis too. Man, I would watch out for that guy. All that guy does is catch touchdowns. That's all he does. He just catches touchdowns. He had a very similar season to Tesla where, I think it was his rookie season, maybe his second year, where he had like 26 catches and 8 of them were touchdowns. I'm like, dude, what's the percentage there? Like, 20% or 25% of this guy's catches are touchdowns.
It's like Chris Carter.
And I'll say this. I'm going to throw this out there. This is a big time name. It's a big time name. It's not a sleeper. It's a guy that everyone drafts as a 1-2 that possibly could step into a top 10 fantasy role, top 10 wide receiver, because I expect Devonta Smith's stock to skyrocket after that June 1st trade of A.J. Brown. And doing a little homework here, whenever Brown and Dallas Goedert were out of the lineup, either or both, every week Devonta Smith finished as a top 12 receiver that particular week that they were out. Now, if A.J. Brown goes, watch out for this guy to replace him. I know they drafted Mekhi Lemon. He's a rookie. I don't really give a shit about that. Devonta Smith, skyrocket. Bold
He's still the number one guy there. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Bold prediction. He's a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. If
I watched
gone.
I watched a fantasy expert on Instagram today. This guy I follow. He's certainly no expert, but he did his top 5 round perfect, way too early perfect draft, and he took Devonta Smith at the third
overall.
Third overall.
No, third
I was like third overall. Stop following the guy.
And Devonta Smith, to me, in the past, based off his production, is more of a 5th, 6th round guy. So because you're talking about the third round guys. In the third round, you're talking about there's still a ton of number one receivers available. So if he's putting him in the third round, then yeah, he's considering him to be number one receiver.
I mean, dude, who are you gonna
you're talking about a guy who's not too far removed from a Heisman Trophy.
He's a
you
also got to think Dallas Goedert is the guy. It is if you do the studying on the Philadelphia Eagles offense, when Dallas Goedert is on the field, their offense is at its most efficient. For some reason, he is the straw that stirs that drink on the offense. He's obviously very reliable, good in the slot, good blocker, can come off a block and catch good balls, great red zone target. But Devonta Smith, someone's going to have to gobble up all those targets, and I think a lot of them will shift right over to there. Is Jahan Dotson still in Philadelphia?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't trust him either. I don't trust him either. So look for that. Look,
they just got a bunch of guys. You know what? I don't think he is there anymore, Sean. I don't think John Dotson is there anymore. I think their depth chart would be Devonta Smith, Mekhi Lemon, Dontavian Wicks, and Hollywood Brown.
Dontavian. I forgot they traded for Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, AJ Brown, Dontavian Wicks, Darius Cooper, Quez Watkins, Devonta Smith, Hollywood Brown, Johnny Wilson, and Danny Gray, Mekhi Lemon, Elijah Moore.
Ooh, Elijah Moore's there.
Yeah, I will say for the Eagles to lose, I think they're going to lose AJ Brown, and I know Mekhi Lemon's a rookie, so it's probably going to take him a while to get acclimated. But Dontavian Wicks and Hollywood Brown, and Elijah Moore, those guys they're not scrubs by any means.
They're not scrubs.
They could
have an uptick on a better team,
Dontavian Wicks, yeah, he might surprise some people, man. He was pretty decent in Green Bay.
He was going to be in one of my sleepers too. The only problem with Dontavian Wicks is he drops so many passes, man. You can't drop that many passes. If you're going to be one of my sleepers, you can't be dropping 30% of the ball. Can't happen, man. And I think if he was, you guys, it's not like the Packers have the best receiver room in the world. So if Dontavian Wicks was some stud of some sort, knowing you're about to lose Romeo Doubs, I think he probably would have been re-signed there, right? And I think it's asinine that the Eagles gave him $13 million. I think that's insane. Insane.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I actually did the rankings, my rankings for rookies. I had Tate, Tyson, Lemon. Then I went Antonio Williams, Concepcion, Cooper, and then Chris Bell, Denzel Boston, and then Ted Hurst rounded out my top 10. I had Stribling right there too.
Denzel Boston's another. Everybody loves Concepcion. Keep your eye on Denzel Boston too, man. I think he might be better for that offense. Because he doesn't need those long developing plays, right? So
and his dad was
Harold Fannon's another guy who I think should be very high on people's. You guys, who's the coach there now? Is Munkin, right? Todd Munkin.
Todd Munkin, yep.
Todd Munkin loves his tight ends, man.
He loves other wide receiver classes in the past, let's say 3 or 4 years.
I like this wide receiver class a lot. I really do.
I don't know if this wide receiver class
15 deep.
I don't know if they have as much of the top tier talent, but
right.
There's the first 20 drafted could be damn good players in the NFL.
Here, I will say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly. Kyle, I've said this to you for a long time. If he stays healthy and he has a problem with it and stays on the field, I do think Jordan Tyson is the best wide receiver in this class, and I think it's going to be 1A, 1B because I think Cardinal Tate is also a stud.
I think he landed in a better spot than Tate. But
another guy to keep your eyes on if you are in fantasy leagues where they do consider return yards, like Sean. Obviously, last year we were in Brennan's league on Yahoo. You got points for return yards. That's why I kept Cameron DK on my roster the entire season. Because, dude, Jason, because of the return yards, he averaged like 17 points a week. Most people don't even know who he played for. But I would, if you're in one of those leagues, Xavier Thomas is definitely a guy I would keep my eye on for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Because I think he's going to get the ball as a running back. I think he's going to get the ball as a receiver, and I think he's going to have a lot of return yards too. So, definitely a guy to keep your eye on.
Yeah, really good flex. I think Xavier Thomas might be a really good flex player this year.
Yeah, and don't sleep. Don't sleep.
gonna
I
have
know
big games.
Njoku ended up in LA, but don't sleep on Aronde Gadsden because Gadsden's kind of out of that Colston Loveland kind of mold
Big
where
receiver.
big receiver. Too big for what'd you say? Too big for cornerbacks, too fast for linebackers. Gadsden's a stud, man.
Hey, Sean, they're going to run a lot of 13. I think they were. I think the Rams were number 1, and I think under McDaniels or whatever, he's like top 5 in 13 sets a lot. I mean, he loves his tight ends.
Yeah.
So they might both be good. The more and more we talk about it,
I would draft them both.
Well, and
I
you
think,
remember
Kyle, I think the Chargers are going to make the AFC Championship, dude.
Yeah, and you guys remember what Darren Waller did in Miami under McDaniels, and that guy had disappeared from the face of the planet, and then all of a sudden he's like scoring 2 touchdowns a game for the last 3 weeks of the season. I'm like, what the hell? How is this guy? How did he just find a job? I think the Chargers people are in for a surprise with the Los Angeles Chargers are. I think the Chargers, if that offensive line can just stay healthy, and I know
that AFC West has gotten tough.
Yeah, that's a tough division, man. It's got really good quarterbacks.
Really
good quarterbacks.
People often
Fernando Mendoza. That's for damn
people
sure.
often say the best division of football is the NFC North. I think the AFC West has something to say about that.
I agree, and I'm gonna say, man, I don't think the NFC East is a slouch either. I really don't.
Well, look, you've got a perennial playoff Super Bowl team in the Eagles. You've got Dallas, who's probably had one of the better drafts they've had in the last 5 years because they had
top
so
5
many draft picks.
And a top 5 quarterback in the NFC.
Right. Yeah. And Washington, if Jaden Daniels is healthy and their offense is clicking, they're going to win games. And then we were talking about the Giants. The Giants probably are the second or third best team in that division, maybe. I mean, it's crazy, but Washington might wind up in last place.
Yeah. I think Washington is going to end up in last place.
Bruce, who's your rookie sleeper?
Rookie? Me?
Yeah.
Sure.
Jeremiah Love.
Jeremiah Love?
Yeah. And
I guess so.
Speaking of Love, man, I do like.
Sean, where would you draft Jeremiah Love in fantasy?
Man, that's tough, dude. That's tough because.
Is he going to be sharing the backfield?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
there's 3 running backs. I mean, Algier, Connor, and him.
I think they're going to cut Connor.
I think, especially in Mills League, Jay. I think he's going to go top 3. I don't know about in Boobs. Mm-hmm. I think there's way too many smart drafters in Boobs to take him before maybe I want to say 4th or 5th. I'm not going to touch him this year. I don't trust Arizona.
That backfield has to empty out a little bit too.
And exactly, dude. And don't forget Trey Benson's going to be back. Trey Benson looks fine last year. I mean, that is a deep back. And I know they're going to try and feed the ball to Jeremiah Love, but James Conner isn't going anywhere.
I wouldn't be feeding the ball to Jeremiah Love until I found my quarterback. Why put those miles on him? Why? You got Tyler Algier, you got James Conner, you got Trey Benson.
With you, man.
Let those guys get the shit kicked out of them for the next year. And then when they finally get their quarterback, which we just talked about, we all think they're going to be a top 3 pick in the end of next year's draft. They're going to get a quarterback. Then bring Jeremiah Love.
Bring him in.
Right. Let James Conner go.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't have Jeremiah Love as a first-round fantasy pick. I know a lot of people do. I don't even think I'll take him in the 2nd. I think I'd take him in the 3rd.
Just wound up in a better situation.
Yeah, I'd take Price over Love for sure.
I love Jeremiah Love. No pun intended.
Oh yeah.
But I'm 90 unless he falls to me in the right spot, and that would be my 3rd running back. I'm probably not going to touch him. Probably, and he'll be gone before.
What his share is going to be. What if he gets 5 carries a game? Okay,
the only good thing as a Jeremiah Love fantasy owner is James Conner is going to get hurt, right? That's happening for sure. We know that. That's not questioned. And
don't worry about Tyler Algier there, man.
Yeah, but
especially in the red zone.
But what if they're not impressed? What if Tyler Algier starts the season and they're like, "Yeah, we don't like him."
You got to see what happens in the preseason. If they start, talking him up and they're going to play him more.
The only thing about Tyler Algier is he was in the last 3 seasons. Every season he's been ranked number 2 every season in pass protection. So he's just based off of that, he's going to see the field.
Yeah.
About it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Very low viewership tonight. Obviously, not a lot going on in the world of football. It's kind of it's tough to
You know
make
what?
stuff.
I have fun talking with my boys, so I don't really care.
I had a good time too, man. And I think if we do a fantasy show in the next couple weeks here, I think it's going to explode because that's definitely when the viewership peaked there, man.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Well, I have this up here. Where's this Bears schedule at? Let's
And
see.
you
What
guys-
do we got? What do we got coming up here? We got minicamp coming up here.
OTAs.
Or
Yeah,
OTAs.
OTAs.
Sorry. We got OTAs coming up. Oh shit! In 7 days. All right, we got something. We're gonna have something to talk about coming up here pretty soon. Then we got mandatory minicamp in mid-June. So
we might have some footage from OTAs, man.
Yep, we got some
Gotcha.
things. We got some things to look forward to as far as Bears football.
Hey, let me know what day you guys want to go because I have so much time off. I could request a day and I'll go up with you.
I don't think starting my new position and running Chicago, I'm gonna have time to take. I'm gonna be skipping minicamp this year, unfortunately.
Kyle, we can go. Screw it.
Yeah, training camp. Well, the only problem, Jason, is it's impossible to get tickets. That
Yeah.
sucks. It's impossible.
I had a
Well, we'll take
ticket.
a look. Hey man, if we can do it, let's hop in the vet.
Yeah.
Let's go up there, dude.
Dude,
I had
I'm
a
all in. I'm
I had a
100% in.
ticket gifted to me last year. That's how we got in. The tickets were sold out in like
6
3
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah.
And then they were put up on eBay for like $500.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like $20 or something like that, aren't they?
They're free.
It's supposed to be free.
Oh.
They're fucking free. And people were selling them for fucking mad cash.
Yeah,
dude.
from what I understand is these two guys basically made an algorithm in which they go on Ticketmaster wherever they give them away, and this algorithm made like 500 fake accounts.
Yeah.
And just took all the tickets, and then they go online and sell them. And the Bears promised the fan base that they were going to stop that shit, but the same thing happened last year. So it's been 2 years in a row now. So I don't know if the Bears are really all that concerned.
I'll
about
definitely
it.
go on and try and get you guys tickets, and if I can get 3, and I can sneak away for a day, I would love to. I just, Kyle's right, after the last 2 years, it seems virtually impossible.
Remember,
Jason-
Sean, when we were first going to the home openers, we were using that dialer.
Yeah, we
Tony's
were.
brother dialer. We were getting tickets really quick.
We used to
and
do
easy.
the same thing, Kyle, because Tony's brother used to have a telemarketing company. We would hook up the dialers all to Ticketmaster, and the whole office would dial Ticketmaster, and we would just wait for which line lit up, and then we would, we'll take these Bears tickets.
I mean, I was in there I think they were available at 10:30. I went in there at 10:30 in 1 second, and it said
It's a lot.
loading, and finally, after 3 minutes of loading, it said there are no longer tickets available to this event.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Then the
there's
only thing the
nothing
Bears could do then is give them away to season ticket holders. But I think they should. I think they should select, like, have kids come in and, like, write a story or whatever, and then give those tickets away to the kids. I'd rather not go because a bunch of kids got to go than some jag-off selling
douchebags who just made 25 grand off of
Yeah.
free tickets. And the Bears came out after that and they made a statement saying this is not acceptable. These are supposed to be free. These are to give back to the fan base. We do not to condone people buying or eating these up and then selling them. That is what they're not here to make money. But they didn't stop it, so they must not have.
They're probably in on it. They probably got 10% off the top.
Right, everybody. Love you
All
all.
right, guys. Don't forget tomorrow at 9:30, 10:15. I don't know when the bare minimum is going on anymore. They keep switching their time up, but they'll be on tomorrow night in between 9:30 and 10:15.
Well,
Check it out.
with them changing their times, how am I ever going to find time and set aside time to watch it, dude?
You're going to have to do what I do. Now that I have a 45-minute drive to work every day, I'm just going to listen to them on the way to work, and then I'm going to finish the show on the way home from work.
That's what I'll
the
do
only
then.
thing I can do. I can't stay up late anymore. The alarm goes off too gosh darn early.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, boys and girls, until next week, thanks for everyone for joining us, man.
Yes.
We know it's dead, but we'll check y'all around the horn next time. Bear down, everybody. Love you.
Bear down. Bear down.